the Nasdaq rose by 86 points. I'm Barbara Cooper.
Your protection from deception. This is Truth Frequency Radio.
Condition orange. Condition orange. Situation Delta in effect. Please enter your agent number now, followed by the hash key.
We have to create culture. Don't watch TV. Don't read magazines. Don't even listen to NPR.
Time comes when silence is betrayal.
More for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them.
Think for yourself. Question authority.
This code has been compromised.
Welcome back, Truth Seeker. September 11th, 2019, the 18-year anniversary of the infamous day. I can hardly believe it. I was 18 years old when it happened. I'm 36 now, so it's been nearly half my life living with the lies of 9/11. And the difference this year from last year is YouTube now considers, YouTube and social media and all sorts of platforms online, they now consider 9/11 conspiracy chatter as terrorist activity, and platforms such as YouTube are censoring it and removing it. So in the age of information where people go to the web to find out what's going on, we might soon live in a world where you can't even get any differing opinions on the history of 9/11, and what a shame that is. So let's just go over a few things that everybody needs to know about September 11th. And still makes me sad that after all the years of exposing what we've exposed about 9/11 through this knowledge of Gematria, I still don't hear any big voices in the truth community bringing this up or shedding any light on it. 9/11 was a numerological ritual. It had everything to do with numerology. And that should have been obvious to everyone who lives in the United States of America, where we know the emergency dialing code is 911. And if you grew up in the 80s, 90s, and probably even before that, I was born in the 80s, so that's where my perspective, comes from. But I just remember almost everyone's phone had two stickers on it, a 911 sticker and a Mr. Yuck sticker growing up. So 911, and then lo and behold, a national emergency on 911. And if you look at the New York Times today, the New York Times, their story to remember 9/11 was about a woman named Kayla Bergeron who escaped the 68th floor when the attack began on the World Trade Centers. The 68th floor. And of course they go to this number. Of course. 68 is the number that defines when the 9/11 plan went into motion. The year 1968, a fateful year for the United States of America. In that year, MLK assassinated, Bobby Kennedy assassinated. 1968 was a hectic year around the world, but it's also the year the plan went into motion for September 11th, 2001, 33 years in advance. Again, all this is verifiable. It's 100% factual. In 1968, 911 was made the national emergency dialing code. World Trade Center construction began in August of 1968. George W. Bush graduated from Yale and Skull and Bones in 1968. His birthday happens to be July 6th, which is a span of 68 days from September 11th, 2001. So every year, George W. Bush, his 68th day of his age is September 11th. Again, 1968, the year 2001, A Space Odyssey came out. 9/11 happened in 2001. That movie's about technology overtaking man. And no doubt sophisticated technology was used on September 11th to deceive the world, from the television to what really destroyed those buildings. The New York Jets won their only Super Bowl. And again, the world of sports and news is connected every single year. The New York Jets, just think about it. The 1968 season, the only season where they went on to win their only Super Bowl. And of course, after 9/11, you had the emergence of the New England Patriots, pretty much a garbage football team for almost their entire existence until after 9/11 and the Patriot Act. And remember how that all began. Number 11, Drew Bledsoe, sacked by the New York Jet, Mo Lewis. You know, number 11, September 11th. 11, the master number, numerology. The World Trade Centers look like massive 11s. Massive 11s. Right now, as we go on this show, the breaking news is a rocket attack on the U.S. Embassy in Kabul, Afghanistan. Kabul in Gematria sums to 11. 11. Remember the World Trade Centers, big 11s. They were 110 stories tall, 110. 3 buildings crashed that day. Buildings 1, Building 2, and Building 7. 127, like Pearl Harbor Day, December 7th. 12/7. 9/11 was referred to as the new Pearl Harbor. 127's like 127, the 31st prime number. 31's the 11th prime number, to bring it back to 11. New York, the 11th state. And just bear with me. I'm freestyling. I don't have any notes. I'm just going off memory. We're just going to talk about the numbers of 9/11, things to know. When I first began teaching this in 2013, I knew 2 ciphers for decoding the English language. I learned them from Manly P. Hall from his book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages. And when I first learned about it, I actually didn't read the book, but I found the excerpts online from the book. And, you know, he introduces this language of gematria. He introduces 2 ciphers, the alphabetic order. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4, E is 5, up to Z, the 26th letter is 26. One of the first things I looked at when I learned this was September 11th. And I noticed right away, if you wrote out Osama bin Laden, the man blamed, the boogeyman, blamed for the attack. The U.S. government couldn't find him. Only CNN could. Only CNN could interview him in his cave. Not the billion-dollar, talk about major, the multi-trillion-dollar military defense surveillance program the U.S. has. They couldn't find the man in the cave. You know, but Osama bin Laden with the alphabetic order, his name sums to 110. That's how tall buildings 1 and 2 were. The other cipher introduced. The alphabetic order with the rules of numerology. A still 1, B still 2, C still 3, D still 4. Where it changes when you get to J, the 10th letter. You take the numerology of each letter. So 10, instead of being 10 in numerology, is 1 plus 0 is 1. Numerology is about breaking larger numbers down to single digits. So Z, the 26th letter, for example, instead of 26 would be 2 plus 6 is 8. So Z is 8. Anyway, if you write Osama bin Laden and use the rules of numerology, his name sums to 47. And if you go back and look, building 7 was 47 floors tall, each floor 47,000 square feet. And 47 is a real special number to the Freemasons. By the way, Kabul, where the attack is today, with the alphabetic order, it sums to 47. With the alphabetic order and rules of numerology, it's 11. And notice 110 and 47 are both numbers with 11 numerology. So, numbers to know on September 11th. 11, absolutely. 1968, to know about that year, absolutely. Today in the headlines, again, the New York Times, the story about the woman who survived the 68th floor. Also in the news today, death of the oil tycoon, T. Boone Pickens. And what happened after 9/11? We went and invaded 2 nations that had nothing to do with September 11th, and we built oil pipelines all over the place, military bases all over the place. Oil, Probably the most well-known oil giant alive today, dies on September 11th. And the name T. Boone Pickens equals 68. 68. The name Pickens, just using the alphabetic order, is 77. That's another number to know on September 11th. 77. Remember, never forget Flight 77, the supposed plane that hit the Pentagon, which there's no evidence of. Flight 77 reportedly hit the Pentagon after taking off at 8:20 and crashing at 9:37, which is 77 minutes later. And if you look up the history of the Pentagon, construction began on September 11th, 1941. The building's 77 feet tall, and I believe 3 inches, but 77 feet. It's on the 77th meridian. Doesn't that seem like a lot of 77? Then you learn this code with the alphabetic order and the rules of numerology. If you write out September 11th, it sums to 77. So what a day for Pickens to die. Pickens dies on September 11th. T. Boone Pickens. Now, we've learned more ciphers over the years, like flipping the alphabetic order around. If you write out Pickens with the reverse alphabetic order, making Z1 back to A is 26, Pickens equals 112. He died exactly 112 days after his birthday, which happens to be May 22nd, the 142nd day of the year. Remember, they say the 9/11 attack lasted an hour and 42 minutes. An hour and 42. Terrorist equals 142. So there might be a little even deeper, darker riddle there with the death of T. Boone Pickens today. Who knows how much he prospered from the war on terror, you know? That word terror, I forgot to tell you, the word terror in Gematria, the favorite word of the Bush administration, it sums to 68. 68. So that's why they would put the plan in motion in 1968, 33 years before 2001. 33 years. You know what equals 33? Alphabetic order and rules of numerology. All these things sum to 33. False flag, masonry, secrecy, order, federal. They're all 33. 33. You got the Masonic headquarters there in D.C., the city named after the 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason George Washington. The Masonic headquarters has 33 pillars on the outside. 33. No. There's one group of people that are obsessed with that number. 33. And what's interesting about 33 is if you write it out as a word, it sums to 156. If you spell out 33, Thirty, so on, 33, just using the alphabetic order, sums to 156. 911 is the 156th prime. There's another form of gematria known as Jewish gematria. It's based on the old Latin order of the English letters. It's structured the same way Hebrew gematria is structured. Greek isopsephy is structured. If you write out false flag with that cipher, it sums to 156. 911, the 156th prime. If you write out Tisha B'Av with that cipher, it sums to 911. Tisha B'Av, to remember the destruction of the 2 temples, the first of which was Solomon's temple. And what was the name of building 7, which fell 8 hours after the first 2 buildings? The Solomon Brothers building. See how they did that? The BBC announced that building 7 had fallen a half hour before it actually fell. How do you report that a building has fallen which is still standing in the background? And I personally think that was not an accident. I think they did that on purpose for the mockery. They love to mock the people every single day with their bogus headlines, their ridiculous stories that don't add up, which absolutely includes September 11th. You know, I can't even remember if the movie Idiocracy was out yet when September 11th, 2001 happened. I don't think it was out yet. I hadn't seen it yet, but if I had heard that term, I had heard the term Confederacy of Dunces. That's a building from before, or a book from before September 11th. But that's just the way I felt after 9/11, that I lived in the idiocracy, that I lived in the Confederacy of Dunces. I just couldn't believe that everyone was fooled by this event. I mean, in 5 minutes, they know it's a man in a cave. They start calling the site Ground Zero. Back then, I didn't have a clue about this letters and numbers thing, but I saw there was something numbers oriented. I just began researching things, seeing how too many things were aligned. You know, I learned shortly after about all the things that went down in 1968, that Pentagon construction began on September 11th. I looked into the term Ground Zero. I found it meant the place on Earth above or below ground where a nuclear or atomic weapon explodes. And I thought, well, that makes sense, I guess, because that is connected to the Manhattan Project. The World Trade Centers were in Manhattan. And, you know, what happened to those buildings? They literally turned to dust. I mean, we all saw the footage a million times over. They showed it to us 100 times a day, every day for God knows how long after September 11th. We all had it imprinted in our brains. Every time I looked at it, I was just like, look at those buildings. I mean, they're like blowing apart. They're flying outwards. And they're telling you that a structural fire brought it down that way? I mean, it doesn't even make any sense. You ever seen a building collapse from a structural fire? It doesn't fall down in perfect demolition. It doesn't explode outwards with great trajectory. You know? Yeah. It's just sad that anyone was ever fooled by September 11th. I mean, it shows you that the functioning level of the average person in this society is close to brain dead. You know, I don't even know if it's above brain dead, because brain dead people, you know, they can still stick a spoon in their mouth and they can still kind of move and chew the food, but it's right there. There's no way that anybody with any ability to critically think for even, you know, a moment could be fooled by September 11th. Yet everyone was. And I just remember being an 18-year-old and thinking, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I always knew something was wrong, but I didn't realize it was this wrong. And you just got to remember what was going on at that time. You know, we had Shrub II as the president. You know, I was living in Washington State going to high school, and I had this current events class, and leading up to that election, we had to study the election and, you know, do an assignment right about the election. And I still remember talking to my teacher that, because all the media was saying the election was going to come down to Florida. And I was saying, look, if the election hasn't even happened and they already know it's going to come down to Florida, the state where his brother's the governor and the last Republican president was his dad, I said, doesn't this just all seem like the land of kings and queens? And is this even really a democracy? And I remember that teacher, I appreciated that teacher because he was politically incorrect. He said, Hubbard, you are an idiot. It's not kings and queens. He said, that's just what polling is. And, you know, I was just like, oh, okay. And then just the whole way it went down, it did come down to Florida. And then at first they called the election for Gore. And then they said it was too close. And the next thing you know, Shrub Jr. was the president-elect. And if only I knew Gematria then. He became the 43rd president. His brother was the 43rd governor of Florida. His father was the 43rd vice president to Reagan, and then later the 41st president. But all those 43s, Yale in Gematria equals 43. So does Masonic. So does Florida. They're all 43. You know, it's not polling. It's not well-reported information. It's not people doing the due diligence. It's a rigged system. It's lies and obvious deception. And even though my teacher called me an idiot back then, I was 17 years old. It wasn't me who was the idiot. It was me who did see that we still lived in the land of kings and queens. And the whole thing was a joke. And after 9/11 happened, I knew that I was absolutely right. And I realized the problem was I was living in a sea of idiots. Truly. Let's get back into some 9/11 numbers real quick. I'm just going to take this whole first part of the break, and then we'll do calls the rest of the way. Let's talk about 93. Let's talk about old 93, the number of Thelema, number associated with time. You had the 93 World Trade Center bombing, right? You had Flight 93 in Pennsylvania. Today you have the One World Trade Center. One World Trade Center, using the alphabetic order and rules of numerology, equals 93. Atomic bomb with the alphabetic order equals 93, which is interesting because, again, the Manhattan Project to develop the atomic bomb, the point above or below ground where a nuclear atomic weapon explodes is ground zero, what they call the site of 9/11. Even one better is to go back in time to Osama bin Laden's father. Do you know how Osama bin Laden's father reportedly died? You can't make this stuff up. He reportedly died in a plane crash on September 3rd in the year 1967. So just before that year, 68. September 3rd, 9/3. And the other thing about September 3rd, besides the 9/3 part, is it's the day leaving 119 days left in the year. 119. 119. A lot like 11/9, the way the majority of the world writes the date September 11th. Most countries write the day, then the month. In the US, we do everything different. We got inches over here. Who needs the metric system? We do, truly. I think that's all just part of just how they keep us in the incredible state of confusion. Even the measuring system, which is nonsensical. Why are we not on the metric system, which is 1,000 times more logical? You know, when I was in elementary school, they told me that I remember our teachers told us that we were converting to the metric system soon. That is almost 30 years ago now. It is 30 years ago now. So 93. The word propaganda is 93. They blame the 93 World Trade Center bombing on the blind sheik. Blind sheik with the alphabetic order is 93. And if you're out there, look up the picture of blind sheik. Smiling man in sunglasses with a Christmas hat on, or a Santa Claus cap. The old blind sheik, that's the picture the media put out of him. Merry Christmas. And perhaps the reference to that is, that September 11th is New Year's Day on the Christian Coptic calendar. You know, some people contend that Jesus was born on this day. So maybe there's something deeper to that image they put out of the old blind sheik there. 93. What's another good number to connect with September 11th? Let me think. We've gone over 33, 68, 11, 47, 110, 93. What am I forgetting? There's so much more. I'm just trying to freestyle, though. I just wanted to see how much I could regurgitate off the top of my head, seeing as how I've talked about this stuff for years and written a book about it. We talked about 77, absolutely. You know what's interesting? If you write out 77 as a word, it sums to 175. The planes that hit the World Trade Center building were flights 11. Flight AA11, right? AA is 11, so AA11, 11, the 11th state, the 11th day, the World Trade Centers that look like 11s. And then you had flight 175, a number that has a relationship with 77. Again, September 11th is 77, World Trade Center 77. So what were the numbers that day? Flight 11, flight 175, that's what hit the World Trade Center. And then you had flight 93 that supposedly crashed in Pennsylvania. And then, of course, you had flight 77 at the Pentagon. And again, September 11th equals 77. Construction on the Pentagon began September 11th. Well, throughout the show, more things might come back to me. But if you can remember everything I just told you, I'm sure you'll be able to wake up a lot of friends and family by just sharing some of those things with them. Because, I mean, you have to be an absolute fool to listen to any of that and just shrug it all off as coincidence. I mean, nothing short of a fool. And, again, just year after year, we're documenting the same thing. We talk about 68 every single year. New York Times story today, the woman who survived the 68th floor on September 11th. Then you see right next to that a story of T. Boone Pickens dead. You run his name, you go, oh my God, his name sums to 68. Well, I guess that makes sense. You get a story today, another story today that most people wouldn't connect to September 11th, but which is absolutely a September 11th ritual. There's a story of a girlfriend who just gave birth to her child of an NFL player who plays for the Cleveland Browns. And this upcoming NFL Week 2, the Cleveland Browns are going to play the New York Jets, who are part of the September 11th ritual. The name of this woman, her name in Gematria sums to 212. Did a video on this earlier. 212 is the New York area code, 212. And she just died 212 days after her boyfriend's birthday, a man who plays for the Cleveland Browns, who are going to be playing in New York City against the Jets this weekend after the anniversary of September 11th. Actually, it might be Monday Night Football now that I think about it. But this woman's name does sum to 212, the big way. In the small way, her name sums to 77, like September 11th. You know? And don't forget, the NFL and the September 11th ritual might as well be one and the same. The New York Jets, the year World Trade Center construction is going down, right? And now a death in the NFL. And by the way, this woman died this morning, reportedly, September 11th. The story is she was standing along the side of the freeway after her boyfriend's Lamborghini had a problem. I mean, it just already sounds bogus. How often do you see Lamborghinis parked on the side of the freeway? I've never seen that in my life. It's not to say that it's impossible, but I mean, it just sounds bogus. He's parked on the side of the freeway with his Lamborghini. She's standing outside the car along the where the, I mean, and who's going to stand, you know, right next to the lane of traffic where, I mean, it just doesn't even make sense. If you're on the side of the freeway, you're probably going to stand away from the traffic, not right up between the car and the oncoming traffic, which is the report in the story. She was smashed by a car passing by. You know, you heard the same story 2 years ago on the day of the Super Bowl. A former Indianapolis Colt died. You heard a story just like this with the Syracuse basketball coach a few months back. Oh, the commercial's here. We'll be right back, everybody. Sit tight.
And the people around you to live a happier, healthier life, this is the right place for you. Learn how to read your soul's history in the Akashic Records. Remove negative energy attachments from your astral body and start the process of inner and outer pain transmutation. Join Pain Transmutation Community to get started on the path of intuitive healing. Change your energetic state. Manifest new and exciting experiences. Re-energize your life and build inspiring connections with others in our community.
Poor water quality is a major health issue, and it's only getting worse. Municipalities can't keep up, standards have dropped, and pollutants are increasing. Where does it all end? It ends by keeping the pollutants outside of your home with HydroCare's advanced systems available at Wave Home Solutions. No less than the best purification materials and processes have been developed by HydroCare to provide you with healthy, clean water for drinking, cooking, and showering. HydroCare far surpasses the competition in removing chlorine, odors, iron, lead, chemicals, lime scale, and much more. Don't settle for less when it comes to your water. We'll take care of the toughest water problems for you, whether it's from a city or well source. Satisfaction guaranteed. For more information, call 888-997-WAVE. That's 888-997-WAVE. Or go to bestwater123.com. That's bestwater123.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
Hey everyone, it's Mark Sargent from Strange World, broadcasting live every Tuesday evening, 10 to 12 Eastern, 7 to 9 Pacific, right here on True Frequency Radio. Strange World covers a wide range of topics, from enclosed world theory to lunar waves to the end of the world in film. It's basically doomsday with a silver lining. With the audience as my co-host, we take an optimistic approach to all things conspiracy and promote confidence, hope, and humor whenever possible. If there's a topic you want us to cover or a guest you would like to see interviewed, please email me at msargent23@comcast.net. So please join me and tell your friends about Truth Frequency Radio the leader in real radio programming, bringing you quality, cutting-edge broadcasts from around the world.
No hate, no hype, no fear. We are TFR Frequency Radio.
All right, we're back, Truth Seeker. Somebody's added to our 68 collection. Got a new one here. With the alphabetic order and rules of numerology, Tuesday morning equals 68. And of course, September 11th did happen on a Tuesday morning. There's that campaign, Why Tuesday? The day you vote in the rigged selection. One more number I forgot to cover, and which we should. I was looking over my notes from the commercial break, and the MLB today, on the 18-year anniversary of September 11th, baseball equals 18. That's why Roger Maris hit 61 home runs in 1961. 61 is the 18th prime. Baseball equals 18. But today, all MLB fields have the phrase, "We shall not forget" on it. We shall not forget. Alphabetic order and rules of numerology equals 74. 74. The World Trade Centers were on the 74th meridian west. Using the alphabetic order, energy, weapon, nuclear, they're all 74. And again, they refer to that site as ground zero. Ground zero. The point above or below ground where a nuclear or atomic weapon explodes. And again, the World Trade Centers were in Manhattan, and that weapons program was known as the Manhattan Project. And people will say all the time, there's no such thing as nuclear weapons. Of course, when they say this, they don't have any evidence to prove their point. They're just regurgitating what they've heard from other channels that put out information without any basis behind it. And I do acknowledge that it is possible that there's no such thing as nuclear weapons. You know, we're lied to about a lot of things, but the powers that shouldn't be do have sophisticated weaponry. And whatever did come out of the Manhattan Project, again, a program where they detonated bombs up in the atmosphere and beneath the ground for nearly half a century. And of course, that testing is now used from everything from 9/11 to weather warfare. Whatever that is, that's the point to understand. Okay, energy, weapon, nuclear, they all sum to 74, not by accident, just like it's not an accident. The World Trade Centers are on the 74th meridian. And again, they called it the Manhattan Project. And today's motto in the MLB about 9/11, we shall not forget. Not an accident that sums to 74 either. So wanted to get that number in there. It's another number for your 9/11 collection. And you don't even have to explain gematria. You could just say to people, don't you think it's interesting that, they called that site Ground Zero in light of what Ground Zero means and in light of it being in Manhattan? And, just to give you a little bit more, don't forget what happened. Bill Clinton, when he became president, remember, Bill Clinton was born Bill Blythe. He has no bloodline to the name Clinton. His biological father died May 17th, 1946, about 3 months before he was born. His mother remarried into the Clinton political dynasty out of New York. That's why Hillary ended up becoming a senator there. And one of the first things Bill Clinton did when he became president was he stopped the underground nuclear testing. And consider that was 1993. He took office January 20th. On February 26th, 1993, you had the World Trade Center bombing. And the story was that the terrorists, maybe because it was the blind sheik, they planted the charges the wrong way. And instead of exploding upwards, go back and read the articles from back then. They said had the bombs exploded upwards, they would have took down the World Trade Centers. Because they were planted the wrong way, the explosions went into the ground and created massive craters under the World Trade Center. So they had to shut down the areas under the World Trade Center for months to work under them. And what I imagine is, since they had finished their underground weapons testing program that they'd been doing for the better part of a century, or close to the better part of a century, my conclusion is that they had created their perfect devices for their planned ritual that would neutralize the buildings as they did. And they were essentially inserted after the 93 World Trade Center bombing on a ticking countdown. 93. Again, atomic bomb equals 93. One World Trade Center, 93. If you write out 226 as a word, it sums to 93. And it was February 26th, the day of the 93 World Trade Center bombing, 226. And don't forget this year, February 26th, it was exactly 911 weeks after 9/11. Exactly, right on the nose. February 26th this year was 911 weeks after 9/11. And on that day, AT&T, who made 911 the national emergency dialing code, their merger with Time Warner was approved by another series of courts. So not an accident that you got that headline on that day. 911 weeks after 911, where AT&T is who decided on 911 being the national emergency dialing code. And that's also an insight into what's really going on in this fascist nation we live in. Fascism is the merger of government and corporation. It's not hard to see that these giant telecommunication giants are the government. These giant corporations are the government. These giant tech companies, which we're now streaming on, are the government. It's not hard to see. Not at all. And I was seeing it all really clearly right after September 11th. I was just starting to figure it out. You know, the Patriot Act, building this surveillance state. All of a sudden, everybody is carrying around computers in their pockets that are phones, that have cameras on them, that have GPS tracking. And I was saying, I see what they're doing here. I see what they're doing here. They got the technology on us. They got the new laws to just violate our privacy. And we all know now that these smartphones are listening to us. I mean, anybody who has a phone or a computer, you're having a conversation about something. You go back on your computer, your phone. Next thing you know, you got ads popping up on the screen for the product you might have just been talking about, you know? And then you got stories like, oh, Amazon customers don't realize that when they're talking in front of their Alexa, somebody is listening in real time. And that's part of the product, you know, that they agreed to purchase. And the reason Amazon's excuse is so that they can continue to update their AI intelligence in real time. Meanwhile, people don't realize that Amazon's a lot more than a shopping service. That's not even where they get the majority of their profit. The majority of their profit comes from their other services, like their, you know, huge contracts with the government to continue to develop the surveillance technology that's being used to police over all of us. So if you really think Amazon is anything separate from the government, you are deceiving yourself. All of these tech companies might as well be one and the same. You know, it's fascism. So we'll leave it there. I'm just going to wrap the show up 2.5 hours early, and we'll have a great rest of our September 11th. Just teasing, truth seekers. Let's go out to the callers. We got Tennessee up first. And before I go to this caller, I just got to let you know, the people who are calling right now on the Gematria hotline, that's not the number you call on the Wednesday night show. You got to call the TFR number, which is 213-233-3998. Again, 213-233-3998. Go to TFR.com. That number's right on the screen. All right, let's go out to Tennessee.
Hey, what's up, Zach?
What's up, man?
You mentioned that 226 day, right? 1993. You know, what's interesting about that, if you take 226, 3 is the second prime, 3 is the second prime, and 13 is the sixth prime. And then 1993 minutes is equivalent to 33 hours, 13 minutes. And YouTuber 7711, he talks about this 3313 code, which revolves around Revelation 8:11. I just wanted to throw that out there real quick. But the other thing I wanted to talk about, of course, was about the Great Conjunction. I've been harping on that for the past week or so. And I just wanted to mention one more time the U.S. Open, the match between Andreescu and Serena Williams. The big number was 19, of course. And with the Great Conjunction, Andreescu, she was born 19 days after the 2000 Great Conjunction, which was in Taurus, and it was on May 28th. And then, of course, the match was 19 days before Serena Williams' birthday. Her 38th birthday, which is a multiple of 19. And that's using, traditional astrology, geocentric. But if you use heliocentric astrology, which is a perspective from the sun, the conjunction happened on her birthday, which was June 16, 2000. And just want to throw out real quick, there's only two numbers 1 through 1,000 that sum to 2112. And this is in the Jewish cipher, well, any cipher. And those are 471 and 174. That match was 471 days to the Great Conjunction, which is on 12/21, 2000, which a day can be written 21/12. And, we had Sam Davis passed away recently, a former Pittsburgh Steeler. His name sums to 174. And today, you just mentioned Chris Smith. He's actually 10,074 days old today. So that 174 keeps popping up. And one more thing, just want to throw out there. You mentioned 77. I thought it was funny. If you tap out 77, it sums to 2020 in the English extended cipher. And oh yeah, we had speaking of the Twin Towers and everything, we had in the U.S. Open, the women's and men's champions were both Geminis. So that's all I got, man. Just kind of want to rehash that Great Conjunction stuff real quick, and yeah.
Appreciate it. Keep up the great work.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good night, man. Yeah, and Rambo, he was telling us for months what the U.S. Open was going to be. He hit it right on the head. He got both the contestants right on the money. So let's go out to New Jersey.
How you doing, Zach?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm good. This is Joey Karma from Daily Dose of Gematria, one of the admins.
Very cool.
I'm just pretty much calling in to ask if you mind if I share a decoding I did on my nephew's murder. I had called like a few months before, and I only had like 40 seconds to talk to you, so all I got to tell you was the base numbers.
Yeah, go ahead. You got the floor. We're listening.
Okay, so he was murdered he was shot on May 18th, 2018. So that's a date with 34 numerology. You know that murder equals 34. So when you put his full name, first, middle, and last, and the calculator, the English ordinal is the date, which is 185. And full reduction is 86. And reverse ordinal, it's 274. And in reverse full, it's 103, which is the 27th prime. You know that ritual equals 27. So now the next thing I had put in the calculator was the city, which is Millville, New Jersey. And full reduction, it generates 86. In reverse full reduction, it equals 103. In reverse single, 103 as well. And KFW Kabbalah cipher, it generates 274. And LCH Kabbalah cipher, it generates 185. So the next thing I had put in was the vehicle that he was shot in, which is a Chevrolet Suburban. So when you type out Chevrolet Suburban in full in the calculator and ALW Kabbalah cipher, it generates 228. So on May 18th, 2018, to his, to his birthday? Or no. On May 18th, 2018 to January 1st, 2019 is 228 days.
And of course, death equals 228.
Yeah, you know that death equals 228. And on May 20th, because they kept him alive to complete the ritual, obviously. So May 20th is when they pronounced him clinically brain dead. When you put clinically brain dead and the Gematrinator and full reduction, it equals 86 as well, just like in his base cipher. So from May 20th to his 20th birthday, he was 19 years old. From May 20th to his 19th birthday, August 14th, 2018 is 86 days. And we know that blood sacrifice is 86.
What was the story with his murder? Did they find out who killed him?
Yeah, they got the guy. And the craziest thing about that is on the 19th, right? I made a rant post about it, saying like I was pretty much referring to this generation of kids that wear dreadlocks and they refer to themselves as savages. And it was just a rant because I was obviously frustrated about what happened to my family members. So I made that post. I think it was 2 days later, the news article comes out, and guess what the guy's last name is?
Savage. Huh.
So, yeah, it's crazy. It's almost like they were watching my social media and mocked me.
Huh.
So, not only that, there was 2 kids that were in the vehicle with him, two young gentlemen that was in the vehicle with him. The kid that was in the front seat of the vehicle, I did my lurking on Facebook, so I was just like looking at who his family was. So I found his brother's Facebook page. And when I went on his brother's Facebook page and scrolled through like his profile pictures, 2 of the pictures on his profile pictures are him wearing a Mason's pendant. So that's what made me originally think that Freemasonry had something to do with it. And I didn't know about Gematria then. That's when I started searching like day and night, like pretty much researching Freemasonry. And I came upon one of your videos, and then I obviously didn't know what I was looking at when I seen it, but it all came to me. I figured it, like I watched like a dozen videos and then I got it. And then I was like, all right, now I know how to decode it. So let me do it. And then I just put it all together. And then boom, there it was.
It's sad, man. What was your cousin involved with?
He wasn't in the streets or anything. He had a job. He was a good kid. He had his whole life ahead of him. He was a good kid. He was just hanging with some kids that were obviously into some other stuff. And just going through looking at the pictures of them with them in pictures and stuff like that, you know, like how like gang members and stuff, they throw up like the devil horns, like blood gang members throw up the devil horns. And a lot of the pictures, these kids that are with him in these pictures are throwing that symbol up. And there's a couple pictures with him throwing it up too. Now, as far as him being in a gang, I have no knowledge of that. But from my knowledge, he wasn't in a gang, and he wasn't in the streets. He didn't hang in the streets or anything like that.
Right. So it's like he might have had the wrong friends and became part of somebody's ritual.
Exactly. That's exactly what I took from it. That's what happened. And I got a couple other things that I pointed out too. So the kid that was in the back seat, right? So his name is B. Wills. His real name is what is it? Something Williams. It's something Williams, but his name on Facebook is B. Wills. You know that that B reference like the hive, like masonry. So on his bio, it says rough side 86s. So we know what 86 means.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like mockery. And that he put that like a month or so, because I watched his profile. I've been watching it. And he put that like a month after the murder. Rough side 86s. Which I take that as mockery. He's posted a few other things that I've got up on Daily Dose of Gematria. Or a couple things. That and there was another post that he made that he was mocking the death, which was days after. Like he was mocking my nephew's death days after. Like this is supposed to be your best friend, somebody that you refer to as your brother, but you're mocking his death. It just doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And then as you when you did your decode, it had a lot to do with 86's passing. So, and we know what that number's all about.
Exactly.
So.
Yep. Oh, and another thing that I would like to point out too, they wore black and red to the funeral. We know that symbolizes blood sacrifice. They wore black and red to the funeral. They said that, like, what was said is that red was his favorite color. I don't remember red being my nephew's favorite color. You know what I'm saying? And everybody wore black and red to the funeral.
Well, I'm sorry for your loss, man. You've done really good research, and that's why this knowledge just needs to spread to everybody, because I think this stuff really is taking place all over, and most people don't have a clue. And I think we really do live in a society of really sick and twisted secret societies where murder is a big part of it.
Undoubtedly.
Mm-hmm.
And one more thing that I would like to add, as far as the time that they pronounced him clinically brain dead, was at 12:23 p.m. on May 20th, 2018. You know that 322-223.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's undoubtedly. He was an organ donor as well, for the record.
Yeah, that's another thing to think about right there. Those organs are valuable. So.
Yep. And he was shot in the head. He was shot in the head.
So his organs were good.
Yep. They saved 5 people, actually. His organs saved 5 people.
Well, I guess there's a nice thought out of it, but yeah, this stuff's sick, man. I'm sorry that happened to your family, so.
Yeah, I mean, what can you do? At the end of the day, like, I just, like, it's crazy, though, that he, like, I tried to get him to be more around, like, me and, like, maybe, like, one of his other uncles, but he kind of just like ventured off and just he would be hanging out with my sister a lot, and she's like really not a good influence. She's not a good influence. She's the youngest sibling. I'm the middle sibling. I'm 34 years old. She's like 20. I think she's like 28 or something, but she's not a good influence at all. So it's just like, if I just look at it like if I could have got him to be around me more, he wouldn't even have been around these kids, because when he brought that one kid around me, the one that was in the front seat, when he brought him around me one time and he brought him to the house, I just didn't get a good vibe from that kid. And then months later, this happens. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, what can you do at the end of the day, man? But thanks for letting me say my piece. I appreciate your work. Greatly appreciate your work. And I share your videos religiously. You know what I'm saying? I try to put this knowledge out to everybody, try to wake people up, but you can only do so much, though.
Indeed. Well, you've done a lot tonight. Great work. And well, you said what we can do about it. I just feel like, since you got a lead on this person that's, put up the social media with the 86 in it, I feel like what needs to happen is, essentially this guy needs to be taken in a room and questioned and get to the bottom of what's going on. Because there are people in the world who are keeping secrets that need to be out there and need to be confessed for all to hear. And it's going to take those kind of actions to get anywhere. I'm not saying you should go do that by yourself, but I'm saying
Yeah.
it's what needs to happen. So
I mean, I questioned them the night that it happened. They were up at the hospital, and that kid, the one that posted the Rough Side 86s in his bio, B. Wills, that's what his name is on Facebook. He couldn't even look me in the eyes when he was talking to me. So I took it that he was lying to me anyway, because he couldn't even look me in the eye. So I just knew his story was bullshit. Excuse my language, it was BS. And I pretty much called him out on that. You know what I'm saying? But my family were acting a certain way. They weren't acting like, I mean, everybody grieves different, but I just wasn't in the grieving mode at that time. I was like ready to hurt somebody at that time. And if one of them kids or both of them kids were going to be my target if I found out that they had something to do with it. But you know what I mean? I sat back and thought about it, like, you know what I mean? If I did go do something to one of these kids, I'm going to end up in jail. And that's just not even, you know what I'm saying? It's not an option. So I just...
Right. You got to be smart about it. You got to be smart about it. Right. There's got to be a smart strategic way, but somebody probably has some information that needs to be revealed. So.
Oh, of course. And I'm sure he knows, like with a lot of his posts, he definitely hints that he knows about this code. He definitely hints. Like if you go scroll down his Facebook timeline, he posts some stuff that definitely will have you looking like, oh, he must know about the code.
Right. All right, friend, we're about to hit the commercial music.
I don't want to take too much more of your time.
Well, your timing's good because the music's about to kick in. So stay strong, friends. Sorry about your family, but do appreciate your work. Keep it up.
Thank you. Appreciate you, Zach.
All right. Have a good night, friend.
Good night.
All right. Take care. All right. And there's the music, Truth Seeker. We'll be right back.
Hype and fear. We're proud to feature cutting-edge programs like The Christopher Everard Show, The Covert Report with Susan Lindauer, Enemy Within Radio with Tom Barnes, Freaky Friday with The Woo Crew, The Gematria Effect with Zachary Hubbard, America's Evil Genius with Travis Cook, Phoenix Rising Radio with Phoenix, Quantum Connections with Lucky, and dozens more. Did you know you can listen from any telephone by dialing 641-793-7117 or call into your favorite show toll free at 833-TFR Live. Uncensored talk and news you won't hear on the mainstream media. Truth Frequency Radio, your protection from deception.
Asylum curtailed, 9/11 remembered. I'm Barbara Cusack. The U.S. Supreme Court granted a request by the Trump administration to fully enforce a new rule that would curtail asylum applications by immigrants at the U.S.-Mexico border. The court said the rule requiring most immigrants to first seek safe haven in a third country travel through on their way to the U.S. would take effect as litigation challenging its legality continues. The lives lost in the September 11th attacks 18 years ago were remembered today during memorials at Ground Zero, the Pentagon, and in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, where Vice President Mike Pence reflected on the heroics of those on board the hijacked Flight 93 that helped to protect our nation.
The American people will never forget or ever fail to be inspired by the courage of the men and women of Flight 93.
Former President George W. Bush laid a wreath at the National 9/11 Pentagon Memorial. President Trump said he already has 5 candidates in mind to take over as National Security Advisor following John Bolton's departure. Senator Angus King finds the reasoning behind Bolton's ouster a bit odd.
John Bolton was hired by the president. I mean, it's an odd situation where the president is dumping on the person that he brought in to that very important position.
On the heels of a meeting between Texas Senator Ted Cruz, actress Alyssa Milano, and Fred Guttenberg, whose daughter was killed in the Parkland school massacre, senators pushing to require background checks for private gun sales made a new appeal.
When Mitch McConnell says he's waiting on the president, that's a cop-out. Okay, that's him saying, I'm not going to utilize my constitutional role in the democracy, because he doesn't need to wait on the president. They need to send a bill to the president.
Some 2,000 local governments agreed to a tentative settlement with OxyContin maker Purdue Pharma over the toll of the nation's opioid crisis. Arizona's Attorney General said the deal included more money from the family that owns Purdue than had been offered previously. I'm Barbara Cusack.
This is Truth Frequency Radio.
The wicked one, obviously under heavy Masonic influence.
Condition orange. Name. Condition orange. Situation Delta in effect. Please enter your agent number now, followed by the hash key.
Don't read magazines. Don't even listen to NPR.
Time comes when silence is betrayal.
More for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them.
Think for yourself. Election
Anonymous, just left of the conference.
All right, we're back, Truth Seeker. This is the Gematria Effect. I'm Zachary K. Hubbard. We got 2 hours left. We're taking your calls the rest of the way. Last call continued off with a couple calls we had last week. Last week we had a couple people phone in and talk about how they used this knowledge and they thought there might have been some ritual murders in connection to their own family, just like the last caller. And one of the callers last week, he pointed out that, you know, one family member had just gotten a big promotion at the police department, and then next thing you know,
Just left of the conference.
huh, what is that about? Did you guys hear that? I'm getting some weird message I'm not used to over here. Excuse me, but last week we had a caller phone in and talk about how one family member was murdered while the other one got a big promotion in the police department. And it just reminds that song, Murder by Numbers, is by the band. The police. And again, there can be no mistake about it. And this isn't blaming everyone who's a Freemason, but where a lot of this corruption is coming from are secret societies, including Freemasonry. Doesn't mean everyone who's in a secret society or everyone who's a Freemason is bad. A lot of people join secret societies because they just want some brotherhood. They want to learn some things that they can't learn elsewhere. But within those things, there's also, you know, nefarious stuff going on. Evil. Truly evil. And just like the last caller said, you know, he starts looking at images of the people involved. He starts noticing Freemason pins. Got lots of Masons who call me up on the Gematria hotline. They say, I like your work, but blaming this stuff on Masonry is not cool. It's not Masonry, but then they don't know who it is. Okay, it's not Masonry, then who is it? Everything points in the direction of Freemasonry. If it's not Freemasonry, is it? Oh, well, I don't know, but nobody's doing that at my lodge. Okay, well, maybe they're not at your lodge. I'm not saying that, you know, it's every last Freemason, but you know, George W. Bush, George Herbert Walker Bush, they definitely had something to do with 9/11. And supposedly they're not Masons, but they got their portraits up in the House of the Temple, the Masonic headquarters, you know what I mean? These guys got a lot of blood on their hands. These guys aren't innocent souls, that's for sure. So that said, let's move on. We got Rambo. Rambo's up next. Rambo's been on hold for 68 minutes, which just seems so fitting on September 11th. Rambo, everybody nailed the U.S. Open. He put it out there. Some people won some big bucks on Rambo's information. Maybe Rambo's got a Patreon page. We might have to promote it tonight. Let's go out to Rambo. How are you?
Everybody wins money but me.
Well, hey, you should feel good that you helped out so many people, Rambo. Great work.
Yeah, I'm glad I helped people. I don't mind being a servant. If that's my nature, that's what I was. My life was meant for. To be a servant, and I'll take that.
That's the best thing you can do, to be of
Christmas.
service to others. I mean, that's better than money.
Yeah. So Merry Christmas. Also, I'd like to mention that over the weekend, two members of the Gematria community, Johnny Stash, who everybody knows and loves, and the golf expert, they went out of their way. They made long commutes to come over to where I live to see me, and we spent an evening together. So I'd really like to thank. I'd like to thank them, and I'd like to thank you, because this is the Gematria community, and this is the energy that you've fostered from your community. I just like a regular caller calling in. I never imagined that one day people will be going out of their way, for me like that. So yeah, it was a great evening. Also, we had dinner. Three of us. There's four tables, 4 chairs at the table, and I said the fourth chair, Zach, is with us in spirit, and I'm sure you were.
Very cool.
But I want to thanks. I want to add to the 9/11 thing.
Please.
Before I talk again about the U.S. Open, 9/11. If you look at the work of the pastor, and he's a meteorologist. His name was Ernest L. Martin. In 1978, he published a book called The Birth of Christ Recalculated. He also published another book called The Star That Astonished the World. He shows his calculations as to how he came up with the real date of the birth of Christ. They would not have used the name Christ because the Romans came up with that name. But the real birth of Christ, the date he came up with, was September 11th, 3 BC. That was back in 1978. And a lot does seem to check out with that, because in popular culture, you can see that that date for birth of Christ is coded. September 11th makes one a Virgo in the tropical zodiac, and the ruling planet of Virgo is Mercury. So the September 11th event ritual was actually, it was a destruction of Mercury, and Mercury is Jesus Christ. Jesus is Mercury. Jesus is Hermes. Jesus is Thoth of Egypt, or Tehuti, Jehuti. Also Zoroaster. That is the same archetype. Mercury is the ruling planet of Gemini and Virgo. The Twin Towers were a giant Gemini sign on September 11th under Virgo. That was a desecration of Mercury, and Jesus Christ is Mercury. Also, another thing about the Greco-Roman god Mercury, Hermes, he rules over transitions and thresholds and borders. And the transition that he ruled over, which is why the ritual was done then, was the transition from the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius. That was a transition period, and Mercury, the god, rules over transitions. And you talked about T. Boone Pickens. His birthday, May 22nd. No coincidence that he died today, because May 22nd makes T. Boone Pickens a Gemini. This is part of the Gemini Mercury ritual. And May 22nd was his birthday. In Gematria, twins sums to 22. Here's another thing on 9/11. The 4 flight numbers, 175, 93, 77, 11. Add those numbers up. You get 356. You get 356. Spell out 356. And then compare that to
Anonymous just left the conference.
Compare that to New World. What's that?
There's something I don't know if like somebody's hacked my Skype or what. Somebody keeps coming in and out of the call. I have no idea how, but it muted you out for a second. Just rewind to like 15 seconds and go from where you were. I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I heard this message, as well. I keep hearing it. It's probably going to happen again. But if you take the 4 flight numbers from September 11th, 175, 93, 77, and 11, you get 356. If you spell out 356 and get the gematria on that in the 4 base ciphers, and then spell out, and then put in the phrase New World Order, you get a gematria jackpot matchup in all 4 ciphers. 356 spelled out and New World Order. What are the odds of that?
Interesting.
Right. So, I'm gonna wrap up about the U.S. Open's women's tournament. I'm gonna go over how I came up with the Andreescu and the Williams in the final. Last week I called Canada's Bianca Andreescu, and when I called last week, Bianca Andreescu was actually playing her quarterfinal game. So I predicted she'd win that, then the semi, and then face Serena in the final. The final could have gone either way. There was a strong narrative for both of them. But the linchpin for that decode was the June 16th, 2019 wedding of Caroline Wozniacki, pronounced Wozniacki in Polish, ex-fiance of golf superstar Rory McIlroy. Rory McIlroy has been a key element in predicting multiple sports championships. He was involved in telegraphing the Toronto Raptors in the NBA and Shane Lowry to be the British Open golf champion. What makes McIlroy so ritualistically significant is his birthday. Again, Venus appears to be exerting maximum influence in all world events. The key gematria number for Venus is 54. Venus is the ruling planet of the tropical zodiacal houses of Taurus and Libra. Rory McIlroy is born May 4th, 5-4, and is a Taurus. That's a double Venus. There is a reason the official Star Wars day is May 4th. It is a powerful date. So Caroline Wozniacki was formally engaged to Rory McIlroy in a rarely seen celebrity union of 2 athletes in their prime at the top of their sports. Also, I mentioned the significance of 54, the Venus goddess archetype code. The other number of the goddess is 117 or 711. In ancient Egypt, considered the number of Isis. If you spell out 54, it sums to 117. The date 117, November 7th, leaves 54 days in the year. With women's professional tennis being coded by the goddess archetype, the 2019 Wimbledon final was between 7th seed Simona Halep and 11th seed Serena Williams, who both played their semifinals on 7/11, July 11th. July 11th is the birthday of Caroline Wozniacki, Rory McIlroy's ex. One of Caroline Wozniacki's bridesmaids was Serena Williams. The date of the wedding, June 16th, is Bianca Andreescu's birthday. Serena Williams was a bridesmaid on Andreescu's birthday, a bridesmaid to Caroline Wozniacki, who is linked to Rory McIlroy, who 1 week before the wedding won the Canadian Open of golf. 2 months later, Serena Williams loses in the final of the Canadian Open, being the bridesmaid to Bianca Andreescu. It didn't stop there. At the 2019 US Open, in the 3rd round, who matched up against each other? Caroline Wozniacki versus Bianca Andreescu. The winner of that match was going to face Serena Williams in the final. Either Wozniacki, who made Serena her bridesmaid, either Wozniacki would have made Serena her bridesmaid for a second time if she reached the final, or Andreescu would make Serena the bridesmaid for the second time after the Canadian Open. So whoever won that was going to face Serena and make her their bridesmaid. And it turned out Andreescu won. So being a literal bridesmaid on Andreescu's birthday has basically stamped Serena Williams as runner-up to Bianca Andreescu. Andreescu will very likely go undefeated against Serena for the rest of her career. Another link between Andreescu and Williams is Andreescu's middle name, Vanessa. She is named after entertainer Vanessa Williams. Also want to add a few more elements to a topic I brought up last week as an example of the Venus domination of the world zeitgeist. Two seemingly completely unrelated topics have the same ritual elements. The Williams sisters, tennis phenomenon, and the Stoneman Douglas High School shooting event. On one hand, there's the Serena Williams, a Libra, a sign ruled by Venus, born on September 26, 1981, a date with 54 numerology. Her sister is named Venus. In Gematria, tennis sums to 81, like Venus sums to 81. Venus, the goddess of love. 0 points in tennis is love. You don't say 2 games to none in tennis, you say 2 games to love. So the Williams sisters' father, Richard, naturally is born on Valentine's Day. On the other hand, you see the same ritual elements in the Stoneman Douglas. Valentine's Day, the day of the ritual shooting. Stoneman Douglas sums to 54, Gematria. This is what I left out last week. The shooter, Nicholas Cruz, is a Libra, born September 24th. His first name, misspelled intentionally to line up with Venus, Nikolas, I mean, who spells Nicholas like that, comes to 81 and 27. Like Venus is 81 and 27. His middle name, Jacob Cruz, sums to 54. Like Venus, like Stoneman Douglas. Marjorie Stoneman Douglas's death date is May 14th. That is under Taurus, ruled by Venus. She lived to the age 108. Like the name Nicholas, Nikolas, sums to 108 in Gematria. A name is spelled again for the sake of the matchup. May 14th is also the birthday of the state of Israel. Another seeming...
Anonymous just left the conference.
I got interrupted again.
Yeah, I don't know what to do about that. Sorry.
Another seemingly unrelated topic with the same ritual elements. Facebook has come out with a cryptocurrency named Libra. The person presented as the head of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, was also born on May 14th. In regards to the Libra-Taurus domination, there are 2 Western astrology systems, the tropical zodiac, which is based on the position of the sun, which is the most popular form with 12 houses of equal size. But there is also the sidereal zodiac, which is based on the constellations, not the sun. There are 13 constellations of varying sizes. So the smallest constellation's sign, Scorpio, only lasts for 7 days in the sidereal zodiac. The 13th sign in the sidereal zodiac is Ophiuchus, which coincides with part of Sagittarius of the tropical zodiac. So some people have a different tropical zodiac sign from their sidereal zodiac sign. Not you, though, Zach, because July 21st is Cancer in both the tropical and sidereal.
Yeah.
Some prominent award-winning champion athletes are, especially this time, are Gemini. But under the sidereal zodiac, they are Taurus, like the U.S. Open champions. Now, the caller from Tennessee alluded to this. The U.S. Open champions, male and female, Bianca Andreescu, and Rafael Nadal. They are Gemini under the tropical zodiac, but under sidereal, they are both Taurus. Also, the number one ranked male tennis player, Novak Djokovic, and Super Bowl MVP Julian Edelman. They are Geminis under tropical and Taurus under sidereal. So under the sidereal zodiac system, with the four majors of the men's tennis of 2019 being split evenly between Djokovic and Nadal, I declare the completion of the Venus Slam, more specifically a sidereal Venus Slam, a term I made up that just happens organically to sum to 54.
Huh.
And with Andreescu lining up with Taurus under sidereal zodiac, and the name Andreescu summing to 54, Gematria, I'll go ahead and declare a Venus Slam for the women's tennis in 2019 as well. And by the way, Rory McIlroy was just named Golf Player of the Year 2019. The Year of the Pig in Chinese zodiac. And in Gematria, Year of the Pig sums to 54. A quick mention, Andreescu's first round opponent in the U.S. Open was 17-year-old American Katie Volynets. That's right, a tennis player named Volley Nets. That's part of the mockery. It's spelled Volynets. It's Volley Nets. I just think of the Grand Slam leader is Margaret Court. Yeah, tennis player named Court, and then a tennis player named Volley Nets.
Sure. Yeah.
I want to mention a chosen one superstar athlete who is coded by this theme. I say chosen one because some are chosen at or even before birth to be elite dominant superstars based mostly on their bloodline. Mookie Betts of the Boston Red Sox, who had the greatest single season of any player in baseball history, if not all of sports history. Last season, Mookie Betts won the American League batting title with the highest batting average in all of Major League Baseball. He won the Silver Slugger, best offense for his position. He won the Golden Glove, best defense for his position. He was the American League MVP and was a World Series champion. No one's ever had a year like that. So needless to say, Mookie Betts is a Libra, born October 7th, 1992, a day that left 85 days in the year. 85, the gematria value of Boston. 85, the gematria value of Red Sox. He was destined from birth. Further evidence that he was chosen from birth, he was named Marcus Betts, initials MB. He was given the middle name Lynn because it starts with the letter L. Marcus Lynn Betts, giving him the initials MLB, like Major League Baseball. The gematria of MLB is 54, as well as 27 and 18, like the values of Venus, 54, 27, and 18. As far as being chosen because of a specific bloodline, American Meghan Markle, who is part African-American, was chosen to marry into the British royal family at or near the top of the Illuminati pyramid, obviously being of a qualifying bloodline. Mookie Betts is said to be a distant cousin of Meghan Markle. So Betts has some kind of DNA deemed special by the elites. Meghan Markle's title is Duchess of Sussex. In gematria, Duchess of Sussex sums to 54 and 81, like Venus sums to 54 and 81. In Mookie Betts' banner season of 2018, the Red Sox finished the regular season with a record of 108 and 54. Meghan Markle sums to 108 and 54 in gematria. Mookie Betts broke the Red Sox record for 3 home run games. That's 3 home runs hit in a single game. He broke that record on May 2nd under Torres in a game the Red Sox won 5-4. He surpassed Ted Williams. There's that name again, Williams. And another royalty link, we all know who Betts' cousin, Meghan Markle's husband, Prince Harry's mother is, Princess Diana. What do you think Mookie Betts' mother's name is? Diana. And no coincidence, the connection between New England and England. We see that with the Red Sox owners also owning Liverpool Football Club of the English Premier League, both with April 15th tragedy dates. Marathon bombing in Boston, and Hillsborough Stadium with Liverpool. So yeah, that's it's a current theme. It affects just everything, all aspects, politics, sports, entertainment. So those are my observations.
Well, brilliant as always. Excellent work, friend. And glad you got to also meet up some of the other supporters of this work. Very cool. Again, that website's getting built, and I hope it helps a lot of people, find friends in their community and helps them network. So I think that's the next step in taking this work further.
Yeah, I appreciate it again. And like I said, it's a positive energy, and that reflects on. Well, you're the one who started this community. It reflects. You put out that vibration, and hopefully we all put that vibration out and get the same vibration back.
Very cool. Well, awesome work as always, Rambo. Be safe out there. You have a good night, friend.
Thank you too.
All right. Take care, man. I'll be right back, everybody. Quick commercial break.
Made from garlic, cayenne, hawthorn, bilberry, ginkgo biloba, valerian, and milk thistle. Extendivite feeds our body with the right nutrients to keep us healthy. Just listen to what Arthur has to say.
I was just calling to tell you what a great product you have. I had used this about 10 years ago after I had congestive heart failure. And it fixed me up and got me going for the last 10 years. Lately, I've been having heart trouble again, so I placed another order because this was the only thing that ever worked. I just wanted to let you know that you have a great product.
To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Do you want to lose weight but have no idea where to begin? The Fast Start Diet, a 3-day weight loss plan, is the answer. 3 days of nutritionally balanced, calorie-restricted meals delivered right to your door. No shopping, no measuring, and no cooking. Everything is prepared for you and ready to eat at home or on the go. The Fast Start Diet has all the amazing benefits of intermittent fasting without starving. We've helped thousands of people who have struggled to reach their weight loss goals. Isn't it time we helped you? With the Fast Start Diet, you'll lose weight and feel great.
Find us on Amazon or go to faststartdiet.com and use promo code POWER to get $10 off your first box. As a special bonus, we will include our #1 rated Lipo3 appetite suppressant spray free with your order. Whatever your diet plans are, start with us at faststartdiet.com and use promo code POWER.
For 5,000 years, the world was ruled with wooden ships by one man. 242 years ago, a small group of free men crafted a new nation built on liberty and freedom. Global elites have been fighting to destroy this new nation called America ever since. Based on actual events, Charm of Favor tells a true story of how they corrupted the election system. They infiltrated federal agencies and murdered witnesses, judges, and even presidents to keep from being caught. Now, the largest and wealthiest crime syndicate the world has ever known has been drawn out of the shadows. They have killed hundreds of Americans and recently attempted to assassinate half our congressmen. Still, they escape arrest through an almost supernatural charm of favor. Read Charm of Favor and be prepared to open your eyes to what may lie just around the corner. Charm of Favor is available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble.
You are listening to the True Frequency Radio Network.
No hate, no hype, no fear.
All right, we're back. True Seeker at the midway point. We got an hour and a half left. We're taking your calls the rest of the way. Just saw a new headline pop up that a author out of Atlanta, Georgia, In Rivers Siddons, died today at age 83. I plugged in her name, and the most pure cipher, it sums to 83. I'm sure there's a whole lot more to it. Yes, she wrote 19 novels. Reminds me of the 19 hijackers on September 11th. Of course, 19 is number associated with chaos. The Masonic agenda is order out of chaos. And I can't help but, well, I should say remember, when I first started this research back in 2013, CNN had a story. It's somewhere on my blog. I'd have to go back and find it. But back in 2013, CNN said that the next September 11th, if it were ever to occur again, would come out of Atlanta, Georgia, because of how much traffic there is at that airport and how hard it is to keep tabs on all things. So, about the 19 hijackers, again, if you've never heard of the Quran Code was discovered in 1968, the year the plan went into motion for September 11th. And at the heart of the Quran Code is the number 19. All the key numbers in the Quran are divisible by 19. But yeah, just reading this quick little article about this woman who's dead today. She published 19 books. She went to Auburn, lived in Atlanta, Georgia. So, R.I.P. to her. That number 83, huh? Murder by Numbers. 1983, that song came out. Could be a coincidence. Some people do pass. Let's go out to Orleans, Indiana. How are you, caller? Caller, you're on. Orleans, maybe just listening?
Anonymous just left the conference.
That's going to drive me nuts. Orleans, can you hear me? Okay, we'll try the next caller. Philadelphia, how are you?
Anonymous just left the conference.
Philadelphia, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, there we go. You're on.
Yeah, how are you tonight?
Doing well, and yourself?
Oh, I'm doing okay. I just wanted to touch on a little bit. There's a connection with Pearl Harbor and 9/11 with the Chinese Zodiac.
Okay.
And basically what it is Pearl Harbor happened in 1941, 9/11 happened in 2001, and both years were years of the snake.
Anonymous just left the conference.
I feel like we're being tampered with tonight on September 11th. This has never happened before. Wow.
Anonymous just left the conference.
This is insane. Well, you must be onto something big, because
Anonymous just left the conference.
okay, is this for real?
Anonymous just left the conference.
I don't even know what to do about this. Friend, we're gonna have to fight through it. But please continue on. 1941, that's also the year Pentagon construction began on September 11th.
Yeah.
Okay, but continue. You're making a great point.
And also, all of this.
Anonymous just left the conference.
Sorry about that, man. I have no idea how that's being done. So somehow the Skype's being tampered with.
It's okay. Also, with all the 119 stuff we were seeing around with Trump, and also with his with all the programming about something happening to the White House, and I'm just wondering, are they foreshadowing something happening to him in possibly another 9/11 type event?
Oh, yeah, I wonder the same thing, especially since he has the same numbers coded all over him and he's from New York. So, very possible.
Yeah. Well, that's all I had for tonight.
Well, brilliant observation as always, friend. Sorry about the interruptions, but really appreciate you making the point.
Okay.
All right. You have a good night.
All right. Good. Yeah, you too. Good night.
Right, take care. Yeah, that voice that keeps coming, anonymous, is exited the conference. I don't know how it's happening. It's showing something come in and out of the Skype. As far as I know, I have to invite people into the Skype. There is that weirdo out there that's sending me the text messages. He is a hacker. He knows how to hack everything. It very well could be him. If it is you out there hacking away right now, why don't you just call in and stop being just such a little pecker? Literally. But something tells me that kid works for the government too. He's actually older than me. I guess I shouldn't call him a kid, but anyway, he carries himself like a little child. Let's go out to Pinehurst, Texas.
What's going on, dude?
What's up, man?
How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
Anonymous just left the conference.
Sorry, man. We're gonna have to deal with that interruption.
Is that no, don't worry about it. Does that come in on your Skype?
It's through the Skype.
Okay, because when people dial in, they dial into the dial-in number, right? And that's not connected to Skype, is it?
No. No.
All right. No, it doesn't bother me. So you can go, but it probably bothers you. You may want to. Can you refresh your Skype without losing your colon ordinal sequence?
I'll try it over the break to see if that does anything. I can't do it until we get to the break, though.
Anonymous just left the conference.
But I happen to think it's what you intimated, that guy who's doing that. But what was I going to say here? I actually saw 9/11 firsthand, up close and personal. And I was there that day. So it has quite a bit of impact. And 9/11, as you pointed out, was planned way in advance. They knew what they were going to do. They knew they were going to sacrifice those buildings. And they knew they were coming down at that time. So it's not 33 years, I guess they were up total.
Well, construction began in 1968. They opened April 4th, 1973.
All right. but from the day they were constructed to the day they fell down is 33 years, right?
Correct.
All right, okay, that's what I want to know, because I remember seeing the buildings in 1970 as they were going up. It's going on in my dad's office on 222 Broadway. And of course, I remember them coming down on September 11th. At least the North Tower, mid-span of the Brooklyn Bridge. When I saw the North Tower fell right in front of my eyes. I don't know if this is significant, but the sequence of the buildings falling were 217.
217.
Okay. Right. South Tower fell first, then the North Tower, then Building 7.
I'm trying to remember what I was looking at this morning. Something was encoded 217, a headline today, and perhaps that's what it was paying tribute to.
I wanted to ask you if that's a significant number at all. Does it have any significant value?
So
I know we went over this.
Yeah, it does. Tisha B'Av in the English extended cipher is 217. So no. I take it back. I take it back. Actually, no, I think it's 721. Because I'm going off the top of my head. I'm actually it's 721. So it's a reshuffling of those numbers.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll have to think about it more.
The reverse.
712 in reverse.
Yeah,
it would be.
The reverse. Yeah. So, but anyway, 9/11 stands as a penultimate example of a false flag stand down that was pre-planned, pre-prepared, scripted, and run in real time.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the people in Shrub 2's administration were well aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
As evidenced by their posture before and after the event.
Right.
He had a tight team. They had to push that war forward. They had to get those troops in the Middle East.
And speaking of that team, John Bolton's one of the people at the center of it. And of course, he's in the headlines here on the anniversary of September 11th because he was fired the day prior. That's not an accident.
Yeah, but Trump is pretty smart for bringing him on in the first place because he sheep-dipped him into his administration, and he gets to see how this guy's hand is playing and what these neocons really think. But not to say that Trump's not going to, increase war, and so far he's shown a reluctance to hold back a bit.
Right.
But that could change.
Right.
But I do know Bolton wanted to strike Iran straight up. That's no ifs, ands, or buts. And that would have escalated real quick, real fast into a regional all-out war. There's no other way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but there seems to be a little bit different feel this year. I think more people are getting awake to what's happened on that day and why it happened. Not the fact that it was just some contrived narrative with some boogeymen. I call them designer villains. I call any of these Muslim terrorists designer villains because that's what they are. They were designed to take on the boogeyman role.
Right.
So,
right.
But in any event, that's all I got to add for now.
All right. Appreciate it, friend. Thanks for the call.
Not at all. Take it.
All right. Yeah. Have a good night.
Anonymous just left the conference.
Hey, this is just so pathetic, man. This is so pathetic. Yeah, I'm almost 100% certain it's the guy who's also sending me the crazy text messages. Just because I know he's hacked my Skype before. Everything's hackable. But if anybody's seen the videos that guy's making, he's accusing me of being government and FBI and CIA. It's like, I wonder who that guy really is. He also put out a video saying that I was sending him death threats. If you guys don't know, I showed the text messages he's been sending. He's been sending me death threats. All I texted back is, I want to help you. So anyway, everything he's accusing me of being, I think, is actually what he is. So And I don't think it's too hard to understand why we're being messed with on September 11th. So let's go out to actually, before I go to the next caller, I just want to make the point again. I think everybody knows this, but in case you don't, you should. The official narrative of 9/11 kind of puts a lot of the truth in front of everybody's face. You know, they say Al Qaeda was this thing that was paid for by the CIA to, you know, fight communism in Russia. Well, it didn't start out as Al Qaeda, you know, but it blossomed into Al Qaeda. But essentially, it started up with CIA investment. And, you know, again, CIA equals 68, like the whole ritual 68. Al-Zaharwi today making threats on the anniversary of September 11th. And I hope, let me see. Okay, there we go. It just showed that the whole call board dropped, but okay, good. You guys are still there. You know, they say the whole Osama bin Laden thing, he was a CIA asset at one point. So yeah, like the last caller was saying, these people are all, you know, the contrived boogeymen for their planned narrative, their planned agenda. That's exactly what it is. They set the chessboard for their planned ritual, 100%. Don't ever forget that Al Qaeda and Jewish Gematria equals 102, and they say the attack lasted 102 minutes either. You know, what was it? Was it History Channel? History Channel put up the documentary 102 Minutes That Changed America. All right, let's go out to Las Vegas.
Hey, Jack, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on?
So, man, first I just want to say that the NFL is just absolutely hysterical. It's just so bad I can't even watch it anymore. It's unbearable.
Yeah.
It's a big fat joke, actually.
Mm-hmm. Hey, speaking of sports and big fat jokes, anyone check out the Mets box score tonight? 9 runs, 11 hits.
Just left the conference.
It's like a running
Yeah.
joke.
Oh, 9 runs, 11 hits. Wow. Right.
Yeah.
Incredible stuff,
Mhm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, here's the thing that makes it such a joke. Like, okay, so yeah, I played football growing up, and and growing up, I love football. You know, I love watching it and everything. You know, when I was a kid. You know, but now that I learned this code and see how it's scripted, I just see like, wow, like what a big joke it is. Like, of course, I could see a teenager or somebody younger falling for it, but as an adult, you should not fall for this trickery. It's like the WWE pretty much, like, you know, or it's like telling your kids, hey, believe in Santa Claus. It's the same, almost like the same thing. You know, like NFL's that big of a joke. It really is. When you watch these scripted plays and, you know, and the very first ritual of the game with the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears, when Green Bay, the first touchdown they scored, which was the game-winning touchdown, was a 4-play, 74-yard drive. You know, and we all know what the number 74 represents in Gematria.
Right.
So right when I seen that, I was like, okay, this is gonna be a hell of a year. This is gonna be, you know, like easy money for people who know the code, because you know what's coming. It's a scripting, you know.
Right.
But anyway, I wanted to talk about so at my job that I work at, I was talking to one of my co-workers, and basically he was telling me that the facility we work at they have Freemasonry meetings there, and they have Freemasons that attend that facility. And you know, I wasn't surprised because of the rooms that we have, and like we set up like chairs and podiums and stuff. And he essentially told me that one of his friends attends the meetings there, and he promised that when he attended the meeting, that he would tell him what goes inside the meetings. And pretty much he told me that his friend just basically, when he started attending the meetings, he basically just cut him off and he never told him anything. He just completely kept his mouth shut from there. He never told him what they were doing in there or anything. So, and that's who runs the world. Like these secret societies, I think that's who is doing this under the table, the Freemasons and all these other secret societies. You know, so.
Yeah, I hear
That's
you.
pretty much all I had to say. I kind of just like woke up, so I kind of like a little distorted a little bit, but I can't figure out what I want to say. But yeah, there were some good calls I heard earlier today. Rambo made a good point, and he keeps bringing up the number 54, which reminds me of this year's Super Bowl. So you might be onto something with those 54s.
Right.
Yeah, and today at work, like I said, it's definitely a Freemason facility. Like Freemasons definitely go there or whatever, and you know, there's a because every day we have to put up the flag. We put up like 3 different flags or whatever, and today they did a flag ritual today. Somebody was dressed in like some type of military uniform, and they dropped the flag. I don't know what that means when they do that, but they did all that for 9/11. So, and it's just a joke, actually. I just really want to say that all of this 9/11 in sports and everything, it's a joke. So I mean, and it's pretty easy to see. I mean, you know, you don't need.
It's 100% transparent. You got to be blind to not see it. It's just like the Mets box score today: 9 runs, 11 hits. Again, I mean, what did they schedule Arizona on purpose to pay tribute to the fact that the World Series was New York and Arizona afterwards? And yeah, of course it is. So you're right on, caller. I appreciate it, friend. Hang in there, man. Get some rest. Yeah, you have a good night.
All right, man.
All right, take care.
Thank you.
All right, let's go out to Flint, Michigan. Flint, Michigan, you're on. Hello, Flint.
I'm just listening.
Oh, just listening. You got it. Be safe out there in Flint. Flint's the city that got attacked by the numbers with the
Anonymous just left the conference.
Poisonous water. Oh, man. You know, I don't know what it is with certain people. It's like, why, you know, why are there so many?
Anonymous just left the conference.
Why are there so many people that just want to, you know, harass and troll and like this?
Anonymous just left the conference.
This hacking. I mean, it's just like, how pathetic do you have to be? And if the hacking's going on.
Anonymous just left the conference.
Like, are these people like in Quantico right now? Is this like, I can just see some overpaid government employees, you know, having a good snicker right now?
Anonymous just left the conference.
Sometimes I feel like they literally have like an office at Quantico that just focuses on me all day. And that might sound, if you haven't followed my blog and stuff, you probably don't understand where I'm coming from, but I've literally been trolled around the clock 24/7, 365 for going on over 4 years now. I mean, anyone who's not on my Patreon page, go see what it's like to post a comment there. You'll have a pack of trolls no matter what hour, minute, or second of the day you post, attacking you within moments. And they've been there the whole time. You know, just everything I do, there's just always a pack of trolls just hanging around. And I'd say that's because this information is the most dangerous thing out here to the federal government and all their propaganda, you know. This just cuts right through it all. They can't stand it. So let's go out to Delaware.
Just left the conference.
Sorry about that, Delaware. You're on.
And that's all good. Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I can't stand when people, F with you so much. It's like, won't you be a man and just man up and call in and say what you got to say instead of being a little child?
Exactly. Why don't you call in, or, they're the same people who post my address. Why don't you show up to my door? Let's settle it out in the front yard. I'm ready. So.
Right. But how have you been though? It's been a while since you had
Anonymous just left the conference.
all semester.
Sorry, man. It did the
Can you
beep
still
thing,
hear
so
me?
you got cut off. When it does the beep thing, it cuts off your voice, so I can't hear you.
Okay. But no, I said I've been taking some classes this fall semester because if I do get this semester, then I can graduate in May next year.
Congratulations. Awesome.
Thank you. Well, recently, one of my friends was telling me about a shooting that happened at about a shooting that almost happened at High Point University here in High Point. Well, I mean, in High Point, North Carolina, but I live in Greensboro. But long story short, there was an out-of-state student, a freshman at High Point University, who gave the police a tip that there was a student on campus that was planning on shooting up the school. And I got the article right here. It says a High Point University freshman who told police he planned to shoot up school after multiple guns were confiscated from his dorm room Tuesday night said he had been planning an attack to kill people since December. This article was released. The story was reported August 28th, 2019, but it wasn't officially released until the 29th. But they said that he had
Sit tight. The music's kicking in. We'll be right back, everybody. Quick break.
Okay.
Symptoms include the inability to think for oneself, the attention span of a goldfish, and a stumble government and the mainstream media.
Please record your name after the tone and press the pound key.
Are being raised by parents infected with the Shigella virus. But there is a cure. For as little as 19 cents per day, you can become a TFR supporter and help children like me get their daily dose of truth. Together, we will make sure every child has protection from deception.
Asylum ruling, time to remember. I'm Barbara Kusak. The White House praised today's Supreme Court decision to allow nationwide enforcement of a new Trump administration rule that prevents most Central American immigrants from seeking asylum in the U.S.
The justice's order temporarily undoes a lower court ruling that had blocked the new asylum policy in some states along the southern border. The policy is meant to deny asylum to anyone who passes through another country on the way to the U.S. without seeking protection there. Central Americans crossing the southern border fleeing violence and poverty are largely ineligible for asylum under the new rule. The shift reverses decades of U.S. policy. Joe Ramsey, Washington.
Thousands of people came together at the Ground Zero Memorial site in Lower Manhattan today, marking the 18th anniversary of the September 11th terror attacks.
The ceremony began with an honor guard carrying in a tattered American flag that survived the attacks on 9/11. Family members made it clear that time has not healed their wounds.
You have always remained in our thoughts, in our hearts, and deep in our souls. Not a day goes by that we're not thinking of you.
Steve Kastenbaum at the World Trade Center in New York.
Prosecutors with the New York District Attorney's Office interviewed former Trump personal attorney Michael Cohen recently as part of their investigation of the Trump organization's handling of hush money payments to Stormy Daniels. Correspondent Kira Scannell reports the question remains as to whether the president's company violated state law.
Whether the Trump organization had falsified business records
that would be a state crime. And the question there is whether they had described how they were reimbursing Michael Cohen for paying Stormy Daniels that $130,000 payment.
Similar measures in other states may follow as California lawmakers sent the government
just left the conference.
protections to workers at so-called gig economy companies like Uber and Lyft. Two ride-hailing firms plan to keep fighting that legislation. I'm Barbara Cusack.
You must unite what has been citizen. We are TFR, Truth Frequency Radio.
Anonymous just left the conference.
Condition orange. Condition orange. Situation Delta in effect. Please enter your agent number now, followed by the hash key.
You have to create culture. Don't watch TV. Don't read magazines. Don't even listen to NPR.
Time comes when silence is betrayal. More for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them.
Think for yourself. Question authority.
This code has been compromised.
Anonymous just left the conference. Anonymous just left the conference.
We're back, True Seeker. It's the final hour, and I gotta warn you, it might be a very irritating final hour because I just did a reset, and we still have the same problem. It keeps saying anonymous just left the conference. Never had this happen before. Somehow it's something going on with Skype. It's showing somebody's entering and exit the conversation. I don't know how they're doing it. I mean, I thought I had to invite somebody or connect them to be a part of the Skype call, but somehow, some way, it's being manipulated. So we're just gonna have to rough it out for the next hour. And
Anonymous just left the conference.
there it is. All right, let's go back out to the caller who got interrupted. And please, for the rest of the way,
Anonymous just left the conference.
this is going to be maddening. For the rest of the way.
Anonymous just left the conference.
All right, Chris Gio to the rescue. Chris G. Hello?
Just left the conference.
Hello? I just heard somebody's voice. Did somebody just hear somebody's voice? I didn't go to any phone line right now. Hello? Okay, that was creepy. Chris Gio, though, the man who runs this network, he just sent me a message. He said he's going to investigate on what's going on. Let's go out to the caller who got interrupted. And I was saying for this final hour, there's a lot of people on hold. If we could keep the call to one thought, one question, that'll keep things flowing. And back to you, Delaware.
Anonymous just left the conference.
What the?
Yeah,
All right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Anonymous just left the conference.
All right, back to what I was saying. There was recently a student gave the police an inside tip that a student from Boston, Massachusetts, had guns, and he was going to he was going to supposedly shoot up the school at High Point University. And he had a 9mm, a 9 in a shotgun, fit in a shotgun. But he's 19 years old, and that's pretty significant because we're in the year 19, chaos 19. There's been a lot of chaos going on. there's some numbers behind High Point. In the past, there's been a lot of shootings in High Point because I got some friends that live out there. High Point sums to 38, like death, like murder, like killing. They said that they emphasized the phrase "shoot up." What is it? Shoot up. Shoot up equals 33, like false flag, like police, like masonry. And High Point University has like an active shooter thing that's been going on. It's called run, hide, or fight. Run and hide equals 19 and 26, just like chaos. So obviously this is, probably was most likely orchestrated by the police, obviously, because in most of these cases, I think that some of these people might have been set up by the police. Like, what if somebody got a hold of this man's keys to his trunk and made a copy of the keys and then, plant the guns in his car, and then now this man's being hemmed up for guns being in his car.
Sure.
I don't know, I wasn't there, but it's just something that I was thinking.
Sure.
Anonymous just left the conference.
Yeah.
It's always a thought.
Yeah, it's a great point. It absolutely could be done. So, absolutely. All right, friend. Great call, great point, great thought. You have a good evening.
You too, man. Thank you.
Yeah, take care. All right, let's go out to Nebraska.
Anonymous just left the conference.
Yeah, what's going on with that?
What's up, man?
Not much. I just did you hear about the U.S. embassy in Afghanistan nearly hit by a missile in the wee hours of September 11th this morning at midnight?
The embassy?
Yeah, it was almost hit by a missile.
Yeah, I talked about that at the beginning. Kabul, Afghanistan. Kabul equals 11. Here we are on the 11th.
And that city kind of reminded me of Kabbalah, the name. Just thought that was pretty funny. Kabbalah, thought that was kind of funny. Some
Anonymous just left the conference.
Something I wanted to notate about Serena and her losing to Canada and this whole entire Canada ritual. She was actually dating Drake 4 years ago.
That's right.
2015, something like that.
Right.
And I think that's the last year she won a major too. That's when she got 23. And after she stopped dating Drake, she hasn't won a major since. And I just thought it was funny because it seems like, I don't know, like a weird riddle, like a Canadian cool down, because then you have Canada come in and win the NBA championship this year. And
Anonymous just left the conference.
Yeah, I just thought it was weird. And then you have that tie-in with Roy McIlroy, him wearing the Kyle Lowry jersey, and his wife, his old wife, and Serena was the bridesmaid. Yeah, so I don't know what Canada has something to do with a deeper riddle in my eyes, but yeah, I thought that was very interesting that Serena dated Drake, and she hadn't won a major since. But yeah, I think that's all I pretty much have. I can't really think of too much. But just, I don't know, try to keep an eye out for Omaha. That's where I'm born and raised. That's where I live. We're a small town, but I've just been noticing us getting a lot of more national media spotlight, especially with this J. Cole movie that just came out and went straight to Stars Network. It's called Out of Omaha. It just highlights North Omaha, the urban area of Omaha, and shows what probably people don't know about Omaha. But I don't know, man. I'm kind of nervous because, they like to put stuff in the news a few years before, and then something crazy happens in that area or something like that. And, Peyton Manning made Omaha kind of get a little spotlight with that Omaha Audible.
And then there was a big explosion there when that was going on. I remember that.
Yeah. I just bet.
Anonymous just left the conference.
you know, Omaha is kind of, I mean, we're not that small. It's probably close to 1 million people here now, but, you know, we're still pretty small. But we got a few important buildings here. We got the Offutt Air Force Base, of course, and I guess that's where President Bush flew in during 9/11, actually flew into our Air Force Base during that whole debacle 18 years ago. And we also have a Federal Reserve. It's not an actual big one. It's like one of the smaller, like 7 branches, but we do have a smaller Federal Reserve in Omaha as well. So I don't know, just keep an eye out on Omaha. And then we got one of the greatest boxers, pound for pound, Bud Crawford. So I don't know, man. Just keep an eye out on Omaha, man. Pray for us. I'm not gonna say pray for us, but just keep an eye out on those riddles, man. I think something's big gonna happen around here.
Okay, I appreciate the heads up. Good looking out. Be safe out there, friend. You have a good night.
No problem, man.
All right, take care.
Yes, sir. You too, Jack.
Thanks, man.
All right.
All right, let's go out to our good friend in New York. From Nebraska to New York.
Hey, Zach, how you doing? It's me, Big D and Johnny Stash. I'll go right into it, brother.
Please.
Okay. So first off, you know, well, I'm not trying to get religious, and I'm not religious, but my point is, I continue to talk about Christ, right?
Anonymous just left the conference.
Let's just say you want to prove that, say, Batman's real. You can either look for Batman, or you can, if you're surrounded by the Joker, the Penguin, the Riddler, you could assume that Batman's real by circumstantial evidence, correct?
Sure.
So my point is, that's what you got to know about Satanism. So nobody talks, forget about Christ. All you got to know is the other side is so real. In all the movies, all the music, the new Billie Eilish song, Billie Eilish, All Good Girls Go to Hell. I think of my daughter, she puts it on the radio. All Good Girls Go to Hell. In the music video, it's Satan coming out of a pit of hell, and she falls from heaven, kicked out of heaven. And my point is, it's in everything. There's a new movie called Satanic Panic, which in Satanic Panic, a pizza girl crashes a satanic ritual, and they want to kill her for she's a virgin. And of course, they gave it 6.2 out of 10, and 62 is the number of Lucifer, because it's the reverse of God. So my point is, you don't have to, let's say, believe in the Bible, whatever you want to believe in. But my point is, the people that run this world never stop worshiping Lucifer. And in 2 Chronicles 4:4, it says, and the God of this world, lowercase God. If Christians forget about that, God made, the big God created this world, but he's not running it.
Anonymous just left the conference.
I want to thank Anonymous for coming down. Appreciate Anonymous coming down. I know you made a long trip, so thank you so much. And don't worry, your gifts in the mail. So long story short, so they gave this 6.2 out of rating Satanic Panic. And in the movie John Wick, I just watched John Wick 3. And I firmly believe that John Wick 1, 2, and 3 is the allegory of the 3 degrees of masonry. And I'll explain that.
Sure.
In John Wick 3, he wants to escape because he's he marks for death. So he has this Russian cross, and he goes somewhere, and he basically says, "I have a ticket to leave." And so they said, "Okay." So they cast the ticket in, but they turn the cross upside down and they put it on fire and they burn it into his back. So my point is, what part of an action movie has to do with getting branded with a satanic cross, upside down cross on your back? And then you go further in the movie, and the person he meets to gain his life back, he symbolically dies. He passes out in the desert. And then just like Christ went to the desert and it was tempted for 40 days and 40 nights, and when he was very hungry and thirsty, this man comes to him and he has a little triangle on his belt like an apron, and then when he leaves, he grants him, after he swears servitude to him, he makes a symbol on his arm like when Masons speak to each other, they put the right arm around their chest and it looks like the symbol of a right angle. And then he said Mahabane. But they said, that meant like good luck on your journey. But Mahabane is the word given to Masons on the 3rd degree. It's the lost word of God, and that's what helps bring a man back to life, pulling him out of the grave. So my point is, what the hell does that have to do with an action movie? Nothing. But people don't realize that they constantly put all these things in movies and it never stops. So don't ever be surprised and realize that everyone that rules this world, it's like I said, this new movie Satanic Panic, look it up. Everyone that rules this world.
Anonymous just left the conference.
And Anonymous had to go because he's going to satanic ritual. And here's John Stash.
Appreciate it, man.
Zach, brother, how you feeling out there?
Doing all right.
How you feeling out there, big black guy?
Doing all right. Good to hear from both you gentlemen.
Right. Yeah, it's nice to get together. Real quick, about big shout out to Big Rambo, and I call him Johnny Rambo because that was his name. Johnny Rambo and Johnny the Golf Expert. Great stuff. Hey, by the way, added to that Williams decode, shout out.
Anonymous just left the conference.
Peyton Manning's middle name is Williams. Strange middle name. But anyway, that ties to kind of the Super Bowl riddle. But for the Patreon people or the Patreon wannabes, check it out. Good information there. I was just, before I came to see Big D and hanging out here with him, I put on the weather. And that's really the only reason I'll turn the television on. I want to see if it was a good night for a bike ride. So anyway, there was this commercial. It's called Channel 12 Plus. And now they got these news stories instead of just the weather and blah, 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 traffic updates, right? They had a little piece for the Wicca, you know, and Wicca is 39, 21, 96, and 33, both New York numbers. Big D was telling me that those movies or whatever, John Wick, is all filmed in New York. 39 and 33 are definitely New York numbers. So I guess that's it out of me. I'll let you go too. I know you feel busy. You know, and basically what it was is they were trying to portray these witches of this satanic coven and cult that they have, that they were like, it was a feel-good thing, you know, and it's just...
Anonymous just left the conference.
Yeah, so Anonymous got to go to Wicca meetings. All right, so... Hey, peace, brother. Love you out there. Stay safe.
All right. Great call, gentlemen. Appreciate the heads up. I'm going to have to look into it. You guys have a good night. Okay. And let me send the signal to my friend here, Chris, who runs the network. He's going to try to do a system reset on his end and see if he can cut off what's going on. So we'll hold up on the calls for just a moment, and hopefully he's I think he's doing it right now. So gotta accept that right there. Okay. All right, just a moment. Just doing a little bit of troubleshooting. Hopefully we can knock out this problem. 1 second, stand by. It might have solved it. I just while we're running the see if we can stop this anonymous interruption thing that keeps happening. John Wick, a film I haven't seen. I know Keanu Reeves is in it. I've heard about it before.
We're sorry. The participant capacity for this conference has been exceeded. Goodbye.
Now we get a new message. Okay. Okay. Maybe we're good to go. I hear some feedback. All right, maybe we're in the clear here. This film, John Wick, I just ran the Gematria on John Wick, and it's got the 3993 connection, both big New York numbers. Got the 42 connection, Freemason. He said the 3 parts of the movie remind him of the first 3 degrees of Masonry. Can't speak on that because I haven't seen the film. But yeah, definitely some very interesting numbers there. So one more attempt here. Hold on. Still doing a little bit of troubleshooting. I apologize, everybody. For some reason, I guess I hit the wrong button there. Okay. But yeah, the film John Wick, set in New York. Again, 39, that very New York number, John Wick, 39 in the most pure cipher, just
Please
like New
record
York.
your name after the tone and press the pound key.
Record my name. Weird. I have never heard any of these things before. Is that a glitch? Why is it asking me to... Hold on. That's got to be... I do not know what's going on right now. I apologize, everybody. Crazy times on the Skype this evening.
Please record your name after the tone
Since
and
when?
press the pound key.
What is going on? I don't have a pound key. I just don't know what to do here. Okay. Okay, I'm going to assume we're still on the air. Hopefully we are. Hopefully everything's squared away. Anyhow, just about him bringing up this John Wick film, now that I'm looking at it. Again, just another 39 for New York. And the most pure cipher. New York's 39, so was Empire. They call it the Empire State. John Wick's 39. Remember, New York was established July 26, 1788. Date with 39 numerology. The United Nations there is 39 floors tall. Every year during the 39th week of the year, that's when they have their big meeting there in New York at the United Nations in the 39th week. Remember, the first governor of New York, George Clinton, born July 26th, the same birthday as New York, in the year 1739. The name George is 39. The name Clinton's 39. That name, or that number. And it's not an accident that the only baseball game today in New York is New York and Arizona. Those are the only two states out of the 50 states that sum to 39 in the most pure cipher. The only two. And then on 9/11, you get a box score, 9 runs and 11 hits for the Mets, who won 9-0. And if you look at the box score, you'll see that the Diamondbacks, they didn't score any runs, but they had 7 hits. So in the hit column, you have 7 and 11. Think about the old Julian calendar, where September was the 7th month. So again and again, year after year, the headlines, the sports, you just start to see how the numbers are put right in front of your face. And the powers that shouldn't be, the controllers of all of this, they expect you to look at it and shrug your shoulders and claim coincidence. Okay. So Chris Geo, who runs Gematria, or not Gematria, who runs Truth Frequency Radio, he is troubleshooting in the background. He's trying to figure out what in the world is going on. He's never seen this before. So
please record your name after the tone and press the pound key.
Okay. Hi, this is Zachary Hubbard. I don't have a pound key, though. This is a computer. Anyway, yeah, just bizarre. And I guess it's just, September 11th, bizarre day in history. It's bizarre in the sense that it was the most obvious false flag psyop there ever was that somehow nobody ever saw through. Okay. Chris thinks maybe the problem is solved, so I hope he is correct. If not, it's not his fault. I worry it's that that troll out there who I do know has some serious hacking skills. So, because I've been the victim of them several times. So let's go out to, let me see, who was next?
Anonymous just left the conference.
Well, I guess we're just going to have to live with it. I guess our problem isn't solved. Let's go out to Philadelphia. How are you, Philadelphia?
Hey, Zach, can you hear me?
I can hear you. What's going on?
A few things, man. I'm going to try to make it quick. I wanted to see what you thought about the whole Philadelphia Eagles, Washington Redskins game and the fight that took place with the Eagles fans and and Mike Scott from the Philadelphia 76ers.
I didn't know about the fight. The Eagles won their game with 32 points. Eagles equals 32, like America, like NFL. I like the Eagles to win that game. They had a nice little riddle. I wasn't even sweating when they were down big in the first half. But anyway, I'll have to look into the fight. I didn't know about that piece. So,
Mike Scott showed up. He's from Virginia, a little outside of Washington. And he was invited to a tailgate, what was called 4th and John. And he wore a Redskins, a Sean Taylor jersey. Now, as far as I found out a little bit more about it, they had a casket there. This isn't one of the reasons why, you know, I hate the city and I hate the fans here. But they had a casket there with a Redskins jersey on it, and I'm not sure what the little doll was under it. But I think he took offense that there was a casket and he had on a Sean Taylor's jersey, which is Sean Taylor's.
Right. That's messed up. Yeah.
Yeah. See, this is why I always go in on the Eagles fans. Not only that, I think there was something out there that they was calling them racial slurs. But who tries to fight the city's basketball team player?
Right.
I mean, he was dropping them, but I mean, you know, it's like, who does that?
Right.
But Philadelphia Eagles fans.
God, you know what's messed
You know,
up, man? So I just looked this up. I just had to go back to my old Sean Taylor notes. His full name is Sean Michael Maurice Taylor, which equals 251. This Sunday's games were on the 251st day of the year, which is the 54th prime number. And here we are in the year that will end with Super Bowl 54. So that's not an accident that they did that on that day. And I just knew if I was going to look, there was going to be something. So that's just it right there. But yeah, there's probably more to it, so I'll have to look. But that's sick.
And I know you have your Patreon, but I think you and Jonathan was talking about it. Did you think it was a good narrative for the Saints to win it this year?
Well, the Saints definitely have a narrative. There's a couple other things I'm looking at, but yeah, the Saints definitely got a narrative. Drew Brees equals 54. So does New Orleans. So they got the QB and the team connection, and they had quite the numerical ritual there Monday night. So to keep looking at it.
Okay. Anyone besides the Saints? Do you have anyone else in mind?
Well, there's definitely a couple other teams I'm looking at.
Just left the conference.
So.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about it every day on Patreon. We're breaking down all the information. So the music's kicking in. We'll be right back, everybody.
From the dawn of man, we have turned to nature to help attain balance within ourselves. But somewhere, we lost our way. Western culture is once again remembering the healing benefits of CBD, the non-psychoactive component of the hemp plant. That's why more and more people who use CBD report relief from inflammation and chronic pain, balanced blood sugar and cardiovascular system, relief from muscle tensions, tremors, migraines, headaches, anxiety, depression, and the list goes on. The big question is, where do you get it? Life is a 99% pure CBD oil made with all organic ingredients, and it's available to TFR listeners worldwide. If you use coupon code TFR at checkout, you'll get $5 towards your order. Head on over to ialife.com now. That's AYA life.com.
Your home has needs. It needs a healthy, dry environment all year round. Start by getting rid of the worst air in the basement and crawl space, where the problems begin and make the whole house sick. Introducing the new Smart Wave Ventilation Unit. It has advanced technologies to continuously reduce moisture, mold, and odors, and expel radon, gases, and pollutants. And now, Wave units include carbon monoxide detection to automatically expel air at a high rate and send you an alert. It also has an app so you can remotely monitor the conditions. Wave is a comprehensive, maintenance-free, affordable solution that will transform your entire home. Protect your home and family with what it needs. Give it a new Smart Wave Ventilation Unit. For more information, call 888-717-WAVE. That's 888-717-WAVE. Or go to dryhealthyhome.com. That's dryhealthyhome.com.
Wave Home Solutions for a healthy, comfortable home.
Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death. This is Uncle Walt from the Ironworks. Josh, Corey, and I have chosen to look at life with no fear. No fear of the unknown. No fear of questions about the supposedly well-known. No fear of ridicule for thinking outside the familiar fool's lines. No fear of the boot on the neck of those refusing the party line. No fear of taking on those so convinced of their beliefs they would sooner drink the Kool-Aid than believe they've been fools made. In this world filled with myths and counterfeit, can truth's protective layers be peeled back to show the tender juicy pink? Are we all just grist for the mill? Souls sold against our will, or is that just how it feels? When you're filled to the brim, triviality is so fear-filled and grim, break clear of the fear. Right here, Tuesdays and Fridays at 2 a.m. on TFR. Josh and I and you will hammer out the impurities of technology-driven groupthink, fold in a dash of logic, and quench it all with a bit of absurdity. The Ironworks.
Anonymous just left the conference.
No hate, no hype, no fear. We are TFR. Your protection from deception.
Anonymous just left the conference. Anonymous just left the conference.
We're back. Anonymous is still leaving the conference.
Anonymous just left the conference.
Well, I guess I know what I'm going to title this episode. Whew, man. Okay, we got a half an hour left. Hopefully we don't have too many more interruptions. That Sean Taylor thing is a real trip. I just looked it up. There's plenty of stories written about it. The Sean Taylor coffin. And again, this is why everybody needs this knowledge. I mean, especially with the calculator out there, it's not hard to punch in his full name and just see. Just go, oh, wow, his name equals 251. This happened on the 251st day of the year. 251 is the 54th prime. Redskins equals 54. Redskins are one of 5 teams in the NFL with a 54 connection. Sean Taylor, if you don't know, was a young football player who was murdered on the date November 27th, 2007. He was supposedly shot to death, and during a home invasion burglary. There's a whole lot more to it. That was the day leaving 34 days left in the year. Of course, murder's 34. Murder sums to 34 and 38. You know, the day leaving 34 days left in the year, plus it's November 27th, 11 plus 27, 38. You get that 27 in there, the ritual number. Whole lot more to it. But no doubt that coffin at the Eagles game on the 251st day of the year, just another sick joke by the numbers. And for those of you who heard the news yesterday about Antonio Brown, who's been kind of like the off-season stooge distraction for the NFL, the man who's getting shamed this offseason. Yesterday, a news story about him was that he was accused of raping a woman May 20th, 2018. And the story came out yesterday, September 10th. From yesterday to the Super Bowl was a span of 146 days. Rape equals 146 in the Jewish cipher. And the word vagina with the alphabetic order sums to 54. And remember, earlier this year in February, we called Virginia winning the college basketball championship off a rape story in the news that was connected to the world of sports. You know, it was the lieutenant governor of Virginia, vagina, virgin, rape. Think about it. The lieutenant governor of Virginia, Justin Fairfax, was accused of rape February 8th. Supposedly he raped a woman while attending Duke. It was the day before the Virginia-Duke basketball game.
Left the conference.
And it was perfectly synced with the championship. We put it out February 8th, how that story was perfectly synced with the championship game through the numbers 59 and 85. And lo and behold, the final score after Virginia won the championship was they scored 85 points on 59 shots. And don't ask me how they do it, but they do it year after year, and they script it perfectly. Scores, box scores, the news stories, what they encode in the stories. The name Justin Fairfax equals 59 and 85. And story came out exactly 59 days before the championship game. And of course, there's a whole lot more to those numbers, but just again, talking about how they sync up these news and these sports stories and how they're all rituals. All right, let's go out to California. California, you are on. California? Hello? Maybe just listening? I take it. Yeah, you're on.
Anonymous just left the conference.
You're on, California.
Zach.
Yeah, you're on.
Anonymous just left the conference.
Sorry, California. The anonymous thing's interrupting you.
Anonymous just left the conference. Anonymous just left the conference.
California hung up. I don't think they like being interrupted by anonymous 4 times in a row. It's a real joke what is being done right now. It is just absolutely pathetic. You know what this episode should serve as? A reminder why we really need to fight back. The people who rule over us are absolute cowards, losers, and just to throw something else out there, part of the reason I'm not a Christian, I abide by the golden rule, but part of Christianity is turning the other cheek and being a pacifist.
Anonymous just left the conference.
And I'm telling you, pacifism is not going to solve the problems we have. These people need to be done away with, So the caller calling in on the Gematria hotline, I'm sorry, I got to stick to the people who are waiting on hold.
Anonymous just left the conference.
But it might be impossible to connect to the callers on hold. We're going to try and see if we can make it happen. Let's go out to New York City.
Hey, Zach, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I'm going to make it quick since we don't got that much time, plus we got a glitch on the phone. Did you see that Hong Kong made a bid to buy the London Stock Exchange for $37 billion? They made a bid to buy the London Stock Exchange. And I'm thinking about all the protests and stuff going in Hong Kong, and the Hong Kong Stock Exchange going to buy the London Stock Exchange. What you think about that story?
I didn't even know about it. I'm going to look into that. Is that today's news?
I saw it on CNN tonight. You go to the website, you go to the World News.
Okay, I got to look that story up. I did not hear about it. That's very interesting. London Stock Exchange poised to reject $32 billion pound Hong Kong bid, or $37 billion US. Interesting.
Yeah, that's it. I'll keep it short tonight. That's it.
All right. Appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Okay.
All right. Have a good night. Very interesting. And that story is from today, September 11th, 2001. So I'm definitely sure there's something there. I'm going to think about that one. All right. Let's try North Carolina, see what happens. For some reason.
Anonymous just left the conference.
For some reason, it will not let me. North Carolina, are you there? Oh, there we go. You're on, North Carolina. North Carolina, maybe just listening?
Anonymous just left the conference.
I think they are just listening. Let's go out to Lansing, Michigan. Lansing, Michigan, you are on. Lansing? Well, I hear some static, but I don't hear a voice. Lansing, I'm sorry. I don't hear you speaking. Let's try San Antonio, Texas.
Hey, can you hear me, Zach?
Perfect. Yeah, loud and clear.
You know what? When I called the number here, I think you're getting a lot of hangups because it says to leave a voicemail. So I think a lot of people are believing it, but if you just hold on for 30 seconds, it kicks over to the show.
Huh.
So
Strange.
I'm wondering if that's where a lot of our hangups are coming from, because I know it fooled me the first time, and then I was listening to the show via YouTube, and all of a sudden I started hearing the show in my phone after it already said, leave a voicemail and then hit pound. And I think I did try to leave a voicemail, hit pound, and then I all of a sudden heard the show.
Huh.
I mean, if they're trying to do a hack, they're doing a pretty piss poor job. I mean, I don't know. Like, you'd think they could have come up with something better for September 11th, honestly.
Well, it is a pretty annoying thing that's being done.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm not even going to sugarcoat that. But what I was actually I came in kind of late on the call, and I was going to say, I don't know if you brought up the dancing Israelis already, but everyone talks about the celebrating Arabs, but nobody mentions the 5 guys for urban moving systems that got arrested on top of a Jersey parking garage.
Well,
Anonymous just left the conference.
And taking photos and filming it, and they straight said we were there to document the event.
Of course. I talk about the dancing Israelis all the time. I mean, they're in my book. I probably talked about them 1,000 times since I started making videos. They supposedly spent 71 days in jail, Mossad 71, and of course...
No, I'm not doing that.
What in the world?
I'm trying to connect on live radio.
What in the world?
The conference.
What in the world?
Yeah, and then Mossad is 71 as well.
Did you just hear that? Some other person's conversation just came in here. How'd that even happen?
I don't know if that was mixed, because it sounded familiar, like something that somebody already said.
That was weird.
So,
but New Jersey sums to 119, just like Orthodox, just like Star of David, just like Ashkenazi Jews, and I mean, why isn't that the whole thing that everyone in America knows about? I was making that point in the video I made earlier today. I mean, we give billions of dollars to Israel. They're a nation that obviously had something to do with September 11th. It was Ehud Barak, the former military leader and prime minister of Israel, who went on TV and said we needed to declare a war on terrorism and go to war with Afghanistan and Iraq. I mean, he said it all within minutes of the incident. I mean, it's very clear that his nation had everything to do with the incident. So
our so-called greatest allies that just happened to torpedo the USS Liberty and knew the entire 40-minute attack they were torpedoed.
Just left the conference.
I noticed too because of the dancing Israelis, I looked at PNAC, the Project for a New American.
Right, Century, right.
Where they basically finished off with saying, we need a catapult.
Just left the conference.
Both equal 194.
You got cut off by the interruptions, but yeah, the Project for a New American Century, which called for a new Pearl Harbor to catapult. Things are getting crazier here as the show winds down.
Just left the conference.
It almost seems like it's interjecting part of the conversations that have already happened, is what it sounds like.
No idea how that could possibly be happening.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, if someone was doing this as a hack, they could have been much more creative. I mean, geez, it's September 11th. Come on.
Yeah.
But I just thought that was pretty odd, too, that September 11th and a new Pearl Harbor both equal 194 in English ordinal.
Huh. Yeah, that's a good catch.
I didn't even look at all the others that overlap. I saw a bunch of 177, 77s, 111s, but
yeah.
Either.
Well, great observations,
that's
friend.
mainly why I called. But I mean, people that think that this was still an attack, 19 guys with box cutters, and there's zero video footage showing them getting on the plane, just some grainy photos of them standing around in line.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, never mind the movie The Long Kiss Goodnight, where I don't know if you are familiar with that movie.
Oh, yeah, man. Trust me, I know it all about 9/11. Oh, yeah. I know a million things.
Oh, yeah. And then one thing, like what they were bringing up about the Satan worshipers and all that, and it doesn't matter if you're a Christian or any religion. What really matters is the elite clearly believe. I mean, why else would they take time out of their lives of creating misery and everything to go to Bohemian Grove and howl at the owl statue and all the other bizarre stuff they do, you know?
Exactly. I say let's just simplify it. Look, there's evil in this world, and are you going to be on the good side or the evil side? And I think a lot of people, they don't realize what territory is. But if you're someone there that's still believing the lies that comes through the media, which is clearly evil every day, and not questioning the media and shooting down people who are exposing the lies, then you are part of that evil. And those are the lines that need to be drawn. So, yeah. Appreciate it, man.
All right. Just keep up the good luck, man. Don't let them get you down.
Yeah, I won't. All right.
I wonder if YouTube is padding your likes. Either that or we got some seriously lazy truth seekers. Straight up.
Oh, they always take away the likes. Yeah, watch.
Oh, yeah.
Come back tomorrow. See if your like's still there. It won't be. All right, man.
Yeah, everyone is trying to kick it up to 500 for you. All right, have a good one. Bye.
All right. Yeah, have a good night. All right, let's go out to South.
I was trying to get through the hotline for Zach, but
what in the world?
Time to get the
See, that's
just left the conference.
I have no idea how that's happening. All right, let's go out to South Carolina. South Carolina.
Yo.
I'm
on?
You're on.
All right. I just wanted to just make a quick statement. Like, some people might think it's an opinion, but it's a statement. Like, it's like most of the people in the world take a blind eye to American history. Like, they tell you that they came over here, conquered the Indians, took their land, and gave them their land back in reservations, and you look like it's like, hundreds of years later, and people look at their history and then they trust the government.
Right.
That kind of it's hilarious. It's very, very funny.
Well, and they teach us.
Look at it.
They teach us over and over in the history books in our public schools that those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it, and that's kind of a mockery too.
Yes, they're the backyard bullies, and they tell you plain and simple, like, you take the numbers away, you don't look at the gematria, people who don't look at it, and all they have to do is just look at history and just be like, the government is not your friend.
Right. It's a genocidal machine. So.
Yep. I just wanted to say that and be safe. And to the person that's actually doing this, you're hilarious. You're funny, Zach.
All right, man.
Dude, that's hilarious. But all right, be easy, man.
All right, take care, man. Have a good night. Let's see. We're going out to Vermont. I think this is the man that I got to sit at the table with last week. What's up, Vermont?
Hey, Zach.
Hey. Thanks for coming out here and meeting me. It was good to meet you and your daughter last week.
Yeah, that was awesome. I just took advantage of the moment. I'm like, this is a good opportunity for me to get back to my roots and also push forward. It was really cool.
Very cool. Yeah.
I wanted to talk about the hurricane and Antonio Brown just briefly because I know we don't have much time.
Okay.
Antonio 34, Dorian 34, Antonio 38, Dorian 38, 101 as well. Both. So Brown's birthday is on the same day as Bahamas' independence, July 10th.
Huh.
I thought that was interesting. The slogan of the Bahamas is "It's better in the Bahamas." That equals 84. The most catastrophic hurricane to hit the Atlantic coast was Hurricane 3 in 1935, which I believe is 84 years ago. And it also makes me think about Columbus, because Christopher Columbus supposedly made landfall in the Bahamas in San Salvador. They're not really sure where. And I measured from where, so Columbus supposedly made landfall on October 12th. And between Brown's birthday and landfall is 94 days. Hurricane Dorian, 94. I thought that was really interesting.
Trey.
Just left the conference.
I haven't left the conference yet. The Bahamas 42, Nassau, the capital 42. From Brown's birthday to when the story about him, I think, switching teams, or I don't know which it was 59 days, you know, that number on black people.
Uh-huh.
Anonymous just left the conference.
The hurricane turned into a tropical storm or something after September 7th.
Right.
So that was right when Antonio Brown's story came out.
And it was funny how the last day of it being a hurricane was 9/7, and hurricane equals 97. So that wasn't an accident.
Right. I mean, there's much more. I mean, if you go into Antonio Brown's stats and stuff, you'll find some interesting things. But great show, except for Anonymous.
Yeah, it's definitely put a damper on things, no doubt about it. So, but great call. Yeah, I would have never thought to connect Antonio Brown to the storm, but when you did the thing with the Bahamas date, I'm thinking, okay, there is probably something going on here. Again, what's that phrase? What a web we weave when we attempt to deceive, or something like that. So, yeah, very interesting. Yeah. All right, brother.
And if you write out, yeah, all right, man.
Wait, you were gonna? I thought you were done, but you were gonna say something else. When you write out what? How's it go?
If you write out 84 as a number, 84. Oh no, wait, sorry, my bad. I'm done.
It's
Thanks so
okay.
much.
It's all right, man. Appreciate it. You have a good night. Take care.
All right, you too.
All right. Yeah. You know, he hit me up on the Gematria hotline. He said, "Hey, man, I think I'm close to where you are. Can we meet up for some lunch?" I was like, "Well, I guess let's make it happen." So, and I went to this restaurant. I feel bad because it's the for this small town. The restaurants are the only thing that's not cheap in this town. They charge like restaurant prices like it's Seattle here. But the last time I went to this restaurant, I swear the portions were better. Last time I was like, man, this place is expensive for how little food they give you. So I was like, I should have met up with him at a different restaurant, but we'll do that next time. Apologies. Let's go out to New York City. Hey, what's up?
You hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Hey, how's it going, Chad?
What's up, man? Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Just left the conference.
Adios. All right, we're back, I think.
Just left the conference.
Can you hear me?
I hear you now.
Hey, if this happened again, you might consider switching to the phone line.
Yeah.
And, having the phone line as a speakerphone, so like that people can still hear you when you talk.
Yeah, that's
hear the caller.
That is what we'll do if this happens again. And even Chris suggested I do that. But what I felt bad is all these people are waiting on hold, and so I just wanted to go in order since people waited.
And I know you have a lot of callers, so I'll make it real quick. Also, isn't a coincidence? All these players, they're skilled players. They're troublemakers, but they end up in the only team that picks them up is the Patriots, and the Patriots win championships.
And it happens again and again, doesn't it? Yes, it does.
And I don't know. I mean,
Just left the conference.
So this what happened. And also, when you decoding, something I noticed, the referees, the zebras, they're wearing numbers now. So it's kind of like 3 teams. So I don't know if that might have something to do, the numbers on the referees, on the zebras.
Oh, they do. Oh, for sure. Oh, the numbers on the refs can make. Yeah, you're right about that. Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm gonna let you go. I know you have some other callers waiting.
All right, appreciate it. Take care, Izzy.
All
right, have a good night, man. Okay, let's go out to San Diego. San Diego?
Yeah, hey, Zach.
Hey, what's going on?
What's up, brother Paul here? Chilling with my buddy Josh. Hey, and Gematria. What up? No. Yeah, I'm calling it Jumanji.
Jumanji, Gematria, whatever. Yeah, what's up?
Gematria. Dude, we're all for truth, brother. Everybody it's on the line right now. You, all of us, we're all for truth, dude. It is insanity. I just got off the phone. I'm going to my 20 year, right? This weekend. And what class are you?
I'm class of 2001, so I got 2 more years to wait.
Copy that. You go to your tenure?
Well, ours got canceled because of Facebook. They ended up not even having a 10-year reunion because they were just like, well, everybody already sees each other through Facebook, so who knows if we'll even have a 20-year.
Well, make that happen, dude. It's worth it. You still connect with anybody?
Well, we're getting interrupted again.
Just left the conference.
I have one person that still communicates with me that's a friend from middle school and high school. Pretty much everybody abandoned me when I started doing this work. Everyone wrote me off as crazy, so there's not too many people who I'm still cool with.
Did they call you a conspiracy theorist?
In the background, that's exactly what they called me. So.
That's Miss Jess.
We are too.
Yeah.
To check, it's like, check this out. This is what I mean by all of us right now. It's all however many people on the line right now. You, me, plus the other thousands or whatever that haven't heard of you yet, and whatever. We're all for truth. My quarterback Jared, he went down in a helicopter in the desert. I sent out a few. Hey, you got that link I sent you about that lawyer's that grand jury that went down? Last Saturday.
Did you send it in an email?
Yeah.
I'll have to go back and look. I'm not the best at keeping up with all my email, but it's probably there. I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, that sucks, dude. I didn't even listen to the whole thing yet. It's probably the basic. You're familiar with Richard Gage and the Architects and Engineers?
Right. I do know that name. Hey, Fred, I apologize. It's 5 seconds till the show ends. I just realized we're out of show, so thank you for calling in, you and your friends. I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in tonight. Sorry about all the glitches. Hopefully this won't happen next week. We'll be back, everybody. Have a good night. What's up? You're Johnny on the spot with the phone call. What's going on?
What's going on is that the show ended, so I figured you usually stay on for a little bit. I just had a couple things I wanted to pass off that my wife and I observed today.
Okay.
And just share it with the community.
Yeah, go ahead.
So like we get the news updates or whatever on our phones, and National Geographic has sent an update saying that water has been found on a planet 111 light years away, making it the best candidate for habitability that we know right now. Obviously, today is the day, leaving 111 days left in the year.
Right.
There was a story ran this morning on OBJ, Odell Beckham Jr., about him. He was wearing a $189,000 watch during the game on Sunday. And they were criticizing.
So what's crazy about this is CNN all day said it was 350,000. ESPN went with 250,000. Now you got 189,000. I'm like, how much does this watch cost? Everybody's got a different price figure.
That's what I thought. I thought I saw 189. When I saw, I think it was on Get Up on ESPN this morning, because there's always clues and stuff. They talk about all kinds of stuff on there.
Sure.
So, but anyway, and you type in Odell Beckham Jr., of course, it equals 119. What a perfect day to bring up his watch, considering he wore it Sunday, but you're going to talk about it today.
Right.
So another contrived news story going along with that. We live in Colorado. We got a local news update. So like this stuff runs deep. It's not just national news. Our local news ran this, and it says that 8,000 washing machine-sized rocks in Colorado. This is a road in Colorado 119. In Boulder Canyon is closed for at least 24 hours after a planned blast brought down a massive rock slide.
Planned blast, huh?
Right on, and then of course, Colorado 119 is the road that runs through there. They close that for the day.
Exactly, and they have all that military out there in Colorado, and we know 9/11 was a military operation. So yeah, they're putting it all right there. And that's today, September 11th.
Yep.
Oh my goodness, what is it? What is it again? Route 119.
Colorado, it's just CO 119, and it's in Boulder Canyon. It's kind of leading up into the mountains. It's just a little canyon that leads up to the mountains. There's a river that flows next to it. And, of course, like in the wintertime, they do blasts for like avalanche control and stuff like that. There must have been some sort of rock issue or something, and then that's whatever they blasted for. But they do it quite often. I'm sure they got their reasonings for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't ever make news like that. We don't get an update or anything.
Right.
So that was interesting. And then the last thing we saw was there's another report on National Geographic that cockroaches make for great pets. Some people love to collect bugs, and that demand is fueling an illicit bug smuggling business. Well, they have great pets in parentheses, and if you type out great pets in the Gematria, it's 111 in English ordinal.
Huh.
So it's just, it's petty. Like, it's not just these major things, like even these little dumb articles that don't mean anything, they still have it. You know what I'm saying? It's still encoded in there. So it's crazy.
Indeed. So.
But yeah, that's quick, man. I'll let somebody else jump on and share some ideas. But we appreciate it, man. We'll catch up with you next week.
All right, keep up the great work. Appreciate the calls. Take care.
Thanks,
all right, see you. All right. You guys, I'm going to take this call. I really need to get off because I have so many things to do that have to be done by tomorrow morning. And I don't think I'm going to sleep tonight. Caller? Caller?
Zach?
Yeah, you're on.
Hey, that was me, Paul, again from San Diego.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, dude. No, yeah, it's 9/11, dude. It's 18 years. All right, so check this out. This is all I'm saying is, so our quarterback, my buddy Jared, he got shot down in the desert. Anyway, so like in our 10-year, I didn't bring any of this shit up, right? Fuck that. Gonna piss some people off. I just spoke with a buddy reconnected with 20 years ago. He was in the Navy for 10 years. I don't believe it was a conspiracy. You know what? Either way, it was a conspiracy. If it was Osama and his dudes, which it wasn't, they conspired, right? That's how ignorant it is.
Right. No matter what happened on 9/11, it's a conspiracy. It's the definition of a conspiracy no matter what happened on 9/11. So.
Right. So, it's just like, I don't know. Whatever. I'm gonna just give it to God and hopefully, whatever. Open my mouth whenever's appropriate. I have horrible patience for. I just pissed off another buddy. He's a Green Beret. I had sent out a bunch of links to that thing that I was telling you about. That Grand Jury that just did. Whatever. Hit him up the day after. I was like, hey, dude, sorry about that. I just sent it out to everybody. And then I kind of said a couple things, whatever. All I get in response is a thumbs down. And it's like, of course, I guess. I actually put in the text, like, I wouldn't be surprised if I get an FU, dude. Like, he probably lost some buddies and shit. So, what's my point? What's my point? It's just, alright, check it out. I'll reformulate my point. Keep doing this, man. It would be badass to be able to, I don't know. It sucks that this, like, I don't know, you no, it's all good. I know you feel like, okay, so a lot of this, like, this show, obviously, is yours. It hinged on you.
He's a huge
We're, no, it's not. You are a fan. No. Zach is badass. Okay? There's not just him right now. There's like 1,000 other people right now listening to him. Alright? We're all, hey Zach, remember, it wasn't too long ago I don't know how long ago. Remember when you were freaking getting like pissed off and cussing on your vids?
Well, I still do that. Yeah. Why?
Well, just like, okay, you definitely, but no, why? It's because that's the way at least I feel, and many of us feel like this, especially today. Like, I hate today. In this morning, getting ready for work and stuff, we're doing trees, right?
Right.
We got a meeting, and it's like, even yesterday, I wanted to bring stuff up, and it's like, it's so pathetic. I don't, because the whole thing, it seems like taboo, and it's pathetic. But it's like, I guess, why would I want to bring it up? Because that's what I'm talking about, is why you were cussing. It's the same deal, how all this is like, you cannot be serious. You know, it's like, there's people that have never been in the military were basically freaking doing this 9 to 5, blah, 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 and freaking you can see the evidence is there. Then we have, right, and this is what sucks, we're all connected. We all have brothers and sisters in the military somewhere, this and that, right? So you don't just have your basic military, you got your elites, our SEAL, our recon, our airborne, our pilots. These guys and chicks are yeah, now they're starting to let the girls in public. Just watch the thing, this girl's flying jets, and she's like, yeah, on the weekends or whatever, I'm in my high heels, this and that, but it's like, we need to know what these things are made to do. Yeah, drop bombs, this, that. It's like, holy hell.
Indeed. Well, hey, you're down in San Diego, military town. It really is a town where the word needs to get out. All these military people need to stand down and realize what they're participating in. They are pawns in the game. They are New World Order mercenaries. That's what you are if you're in the U.S. military. And if you don't see that, then you are participating in evil. And the young people need to realize that. So.
Well, right, that's the thing. I'm not currently in San Diego. I'm up in the exact center of California.
Oh, okay.
North Fork, California. What? Yeah. Not town, but Fresno. Anyways, check this out. So it's like, we have these guys and women. Okay, so when you go into recon or SEAL or this and that, you've heard of SEER, right? That's survival, escape, resistance, evasion.
Right.
Or BUDS. Like, they put these guys through hell. They drown the SEALs or beat the fuck out of them. My buddy was in recon. He said, yeah, they threw me into this camp freaking in this thing, and there's this dude like a red beard, and he's got a baseball bat, and I'm in Russia town now, and bam, slams my kneecap, and I'm in the infirmary for a month.
Right.
It's like, legitimately put these guys and women through hell, right? Because they believe that what they're going into is, and that's insane. Like, that's awesome. Like, kudos for. That is badass. I wanted to. I still have maybe a few months if I wanted to go Navy Reserve, but it's like, whatever. No matter.
I hear you, man. Hey, caller, the chat wants to know what you're drinking tonight.
Check this out. First time, Modelo Chelada.
Hey.
Picante. It's pretty bomb.
That's funny. Hey, my friend down in Yuma, every summer he runs a what do you call that? Where you mix the beer and the tomato juice? He runs a festival. He has music and has a whole bunch of those. That what? Say the word again. It's with an M. Michelado? Is that how you say it?
Yeah. Michelada.
Yeah. He does that every year down in Yuma. So, all right, man. We'll keep having fun. Glad you're having a good time on September 11th. Appreciate your call, man. Enjoy your friends, and thanks for calling in.
All right, brother. Hey, hopefully I'm going to be up in Washington here soon. I'll hit you up, man.
All right, sounds good, man. Take care.
All right,
my guess is he's not going to remember that call tomorrow. Anyway, guys, I almost didn't do the show tonight because I have so much stuff to do, and I'm just like, how am I going to get this done? But I was like, how am I going to skip the show on September 11th? So, of course, I didn't. Caller?
Jack?
Yeah, what's going on?
Oh, hey. I called last week regarding the astrology alignment.
Right.
Yeah, I have another one that syncs up with 9/11 I wanted to share with you.
Okay.
Yeah, so basically in astrology, there's I mentioned last week about aspects.
Okay.
So just it's not really that difficult to understand, but basically how it works is if you have certain aspects, like last week I called about a conjunction. There's other ones, trine. There's also a few other ones, but they're basically based on geometry. So the angle that two celestial bodies are making with each other. So this week, since it's appropriate, it's 9/11 and whatnot. I kind of was looking into what was going on around that time, and then tracked it back. So as you've documented many times that the elite like to do rituals with Saturn. So in not in Gematria, in astrology, Saturn, you've exposed that it's represented by the cube, but also represents time, restriction, karma, and then the aspect that I'll be talking about tonight is an opposition. So this is 180 degrees. So basically, it's like two opposite signs that are at the same degree. So I looked at this Saturn opposed to Pluto because, as you know, we get a lot of Saturn rituals, and Pluto is an important planet as well to the elite because it represents death, the underworld, in Greek mythology, Hades, transformation, destruction, things like this. So I started doing some digging, and I came up with the first thing that caught my eye was it happens every 33 years. So right off the bat, I was like, okay, I'm going to look a little bit deeper into this because when Saturn opposes Pluto every 33 years. So I went back to, I think the first time, the furthest back I went was 1832. So that was I started seeing trends as I always do. So basically around that time, 1832, it happened, and around 1837 there was a financial crisis, and then it was actually 1834, I think. April 14th, the Whig Party, and then 1836, there was also a few other astrological alignments that synced up with it. So I moved to the next time it happened. So it was 1866. You had civil rights, a war between it was, I guess, Germany and Austria versus Italy and Prussia. So I kept moving forward. The next one was 1899. So basically, that was the Spanish-American War. But I also found something kind of interesting about that and Zionism, because in 1897, it was the first Zionist Congress was held in Switzerland, and the World Zionist Organization, it was established with the goal of creating a Jewish homeland around Jerusalem. So the Zionists, they have a lot of stuff that syncs up with a Saturn-Pluto opposition even today. So 1931, obviously financial collapse around that time. Hitler's rise was a big movement at that time, and then around 65 is war again. So Vietnam, and then you had the civil rights stuff, and then the next one was August of 2001, and then shortly after that you had once again financial. There's a lot of in 1933 they took the gold off of us, so that was huge, and then there was a lot of ties between the financial problems of there was a stock market issue in 2001 around that time, and then of course 9/11, which also synced up with the 1930s with the stock market. But yeah, I wanted to share that with you because 9/11 is appropriate.
Yeah, great research again. So doing a great job of connecting the astrology piece. Appreciate it.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, man.
All right, thank you. Have a good night. All right. We'll wrap it up right there. September 11th. Another one concluded. 18 years without justice. Hold on. We're actually going to take one more call. Caller?
Oh, hell yeah. Thanks, Zach. You're the man.
You're welcome.
Just got off work.
Yeah, what's going on?
You're the man I want to talk to on this day.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
Welcome.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right.
I noticed you haven't been, well, you've been on your sports channel, but not on your news channel. Did something happen there that I missed? Or?
Yeah, it's suspended.
Fuck.
That's why you guys got to follow my blog, because I'll always post on my blog if my channel's suspended and where to follow me at. So,
that's what I figured.
Yeah.
Just real quick, like, not that anybody gives a shit, but like for me, 9/11 is a very significant day, I guess, because my dad actually was stationed at the Pentagon for 9 years, and I was a sophomore when 9/11 happened, and he was working in the Pentagon. He was a colonel in the Air Force, and I'll never forget, like, watching the Twin Towers get hit that morning. At the time, we had cable in the classroom. That was like cutting edge technology back then. So we were able to watch all of the live coverage and stuff.
Sure.
And then Pentagon got hit. And yeah, I couldn't talk to my dad for like 12 hours that day because all the phone lines were all tied up. So I didn't know if my dad was dead or not. My parents were divorced. So like I spent many days and summers inside the Pentagon because my dad didn't get a babysitter most of the time, so like I spent a lot of time there. So it was a crazy day for me. So like that very next weekend, I went up to DC to see the Pentagon with my dad, and I started taking pictures of the building with the disposable camera and shit. And out of nowhere, these dudes in Humvees rolled up, like pointed their machine guns at me and shit, told me I couldn't take pictures, and they took my camera away from me. And like right then and there, ever since then, I was only like 16 years old, but that's when I started to question things.
Sure.
It was really personal. And then, anyways, I'm so glad that so many people are waking up.
Indeed.
And one last thing. The other day, I don't know if you saw my comments. I commented on one of your videos. Last Sunday on the first day of NFL, I was watching the Cowboys game. And during the commercial break, they were advertising this new TV show called The Prodigal Son.
Yeah, with that Murder by Numbers music in the background.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That dude, I wouldn't have recognized that tune there, like if I hadn't started following your work. But like, I thought that was kind of weird. I mean, it just goes to show everybody. If anybody thinks, I mean, by now it'd be stupid not to. But if there are any doubters that don't think that the elite operate by this, I mean, that just goes to show you they put it right in your face.
Sure. My question for you, I got a question for you. Your dad, did he ever shed any light on what he thought happened on September 11th?
Yeah, thanks for asking. Well, actually, me and my dad are total opposite. He's a total type A, typical like brainwashed military. He works for the DIA, which is like a branch of the CIA, and in my dad's eyes, I'm like a failure because like I question everything. I don't respect authority. Like, I always bring this shit up to him, all these conspiracies and stuff. And he fucking loses his mind, dude. Like, he gets, like, outraged. Like, he's a crazy motherfucker. Sorry for swearing so much. But, like, my dad is one of the most craziest people I've ever met. But he rose through the ranks of the military. He retired as a colonel. Now he works for the DIA, which is like, and my dad used to actually warn me about psychological warfare like a long time ago. I thought he was crazy. I didn't really understand what that was when I was growing up, but he told me, like, they use psychological warfare, and like even in the early 2000s, like before the Snowden revelation, my dad used to like put duct tape over the cameras on a computer, and I thought that was freaking insane. But come to find out, he was right. And this was like way before Snowden. Like, but like, yeah, my dad, unfortunately, he's totally brainwashed by the government agenda, and I've been trying to wake him up for years, but I don't think it'll ever happen.
Yeah. So he's just that personality type. There's a lot like him. So.
Yeah.
All right, man.
But, thanks for letting me ramble, man, and appreciate what you do.
Yeah, you're welcome. Appreciate you calling in. Thanks for sharing your story. You have a good night, friend.
You too.
All right, take care. Caller?
Hey, what's up, Zach? I called here earlier. I forgot to mention one point. 11/7 is like a shorthand version of getting the golden number, I believe. I was just watching some pyramid stuff a few days ago, and it has just tied in with what Rambo was saying about 7-11 or something.
11 divided by 7 is close to the golden ratio. 11 divided by 7. Let me try that out.
Yeah, it gets close to the golden number.
Let me see.
Kind of like 22 divided by 7. Oh, that makes sense because 22 is double 11, and they both. That's kind of funny how that worked out.
No, I tried it out. It's not very close to the golden ratio, so it's not right wherever you heard that.
Really? Well, maybe I'll just have to double check. Maybe it was like 1.5 something, or I don't know that, but yeah, it was about pyramids and stuff, and how their stones were like 11-7 built or something like that. But yeah, that's all I had to say on that.
I'll look into it. There's definitely a lot to 11-7, but it doesn't quite work out to the golden ratio. So I'll check it out, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, thanks.
Appreciate it, man.
All right, have a good night. Yeah, you got to be careful because there's a lot of stuff that circulates in the truth community that's like not true. How many people are repeating that NASA means dishonest in Hebrew? That's not even true. I mean, everyone repeating that is just someone who watched something and heard it and like, oh, I'm going to go tell that somewhere else. I'm going to go post that comment somewhere else. Like, did you actually look into it? Because it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that at all. But somehow it's like posted on almost every YouTube video. NASA means dishonest in Hebrew. It's like, nope, it doesn't. False. So. And no, Martin Webb, no, it doesn't. So there, Martin Webb just wrote it. To deceive. It doesn't mean that. Look it up. Everybody look it up. You'll see it doesn't mean that. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. I investigated it. You can investigate it too. Doesn't mean that. How do you get a check mark anyway? Who are these check mark people? Who are these check mark people? So Destiny Lord writes, Zach, I think one of the reasons the 9/11 was even planned was because the U.S. government wanted to destroy the Middle East and take all their resources. Well, I mean, just remember the United States isn't even really a sovereign nation. It's just like the biceps of the New World Order complex. You know, it's the UK extended. So. But yeah, I mean, they definitely did a lot of destruction in the Middle East. I mean, who knows how many people are really dead? A lot of people died. When people think about the deaths on 9/11, you know, people died, you know, from those terrorist attacks, no doubt about it. But the majority of the deaths came from the lies after, going to those needless wars. Stevie says the Pentagon was hit by a missile. Very possible, you know, very possible. Bomb, who knows? Something. I don't think it was a plane, though. So we'll leave it there, you guys. I'll be back sooner than later, but I do have a lot of work to do, and work calls. Until next time.